What's up, dudes? It's a vigorous Q&A. Are you guys ready? Second last one for the end of the year, but next one is going to be something different. It's going to be special. It's not going to be the vigorous Q&A. It's going to be the boozers Q&A. Yes, that's right. Get your alcohol ready. Get your cigar ready. Next weekend, on Saturday, December 30th, I'll be outside smoking a cigar and drinking some liquor. So feel free to join, right? Anything goes. All of your questions that you want to ask as I get progressively more and more and more intoxicated, anything goes, right? So please join me next weekend at the Boozers Vigorous Q&A. And then from next year onwards, we're going to discontinue the Patreon page. And hopefully everybody will move over to the YouTube memberships because it's a little bit easier to manage. I've already removed the vigorous contributor level because there were 80 people on YouTube that were just the vigorous contributors, and a large majority of those people were constantly asking questions during the vigorous Q&A, but there's a different tier for the vigorous Q&A. So I removed all membership options besides the private vigorous Q&A option. And then hopefully some of the Patreon members will move over. And otherwise, we'll just start from scratch and slowly build it up again as 2024 proceeds. So those are basically the updates. A couple of videos are pending, but obviously with Christmas, my editor is not going to work, and I'm not going to work. So I think I have like 6 or 7 videos in the buffer up until now, and then hopefully I can get 10 videos in the buffer, and then I'll start editing my own videos again, so I can release those in between. All right. I hope you guys like the anabolic androgenic ratio, anabolic to androgenic ratio debunking video, and what was it? Roman Fritz's video. I hope you guys like that one. And then next week will be the Entrepreneur Deep Dive Chapter 2, Part 3, dropping Monday. Yeah. And you fuckers better watch. I don't care that it's Christmas. Get those views up, get those likes going, get those comments going, because without comments and likes and views, posting videos is kind of useless, right? Okay, let's get started with the questions. J. Hodge, 1002. Is 200 to 250 milligrams per week testosterone enanthate? With 200 to 250 milligrams per week testosterone enanthate, which will shit on my estradiol and SHBG the least? Primo, EQ, or dihydroboldenone? It kind of depends on your individual response, right? So, I mean, you see that people get low estradiol on Primo, and low estradiol on EQ, and low estradiol on dihydroboldenone, which is basically boldenone, right? But 5-alpha reduced. So I would say that it's up to individual response and the dose that you're taking, because in a 1-to-1 ratio, I would say that Masteron, Primo, EQ, and DHB all lower estradiol levels in very similar extents. But of course, everybody's different. Some people notice that estradiol doesn't go down at all with Primobolan, or doesn't go down at all with Masteron, and same for EQ or DHB. So give each a try for a month at the exact same dose, and then ester formulation aside, right? I mean, Primo is metenolone enanthate, so you get a little bit more milligrams of net metenolone, and EQ is undestinate, so you get less milligrams of actual boldenone, and DHB is usually cypinate, so you get a little bit less than enanthate. Yeah, but of course the molecular weight is different. There's another video about this in making, that's why I remember. So I don't know, get your hands dirty and figure it out. It could be different for everybody, and of course the dose also contributes into that. So if it's 1-to-1, I think it's very similar, right? So if you do 200 test and 200 Primo, or 200 boldenone, or 200 DHB, or 200 Masteron for that matter, I think the estradiol suppression is going to be very, very similar in all contexts. But of course, individual response is going to ultimately determine that for you. So do your fucking blood work in the meantime. And we're already demonetized. Great. All right. Mudasar asks, hey, Steve, I took 2 IUs Omnitrope at 8 a.m. and did blood test at 11 a.m. Let's see. So that's about 3 hours before. And my serum GH was 1.3 nanograms per milliliter. What does this mean? It means that it's pretty fucking low. Did you did sub-Q or intramuscular? I mean, I would expect your serum GH levels, even with subcutaneous administrations, to be significantly higher. And if your IGF-1 is only 7 nanograms per milliliter, yeah, I'm calling bunk on the Omnitrope. So next time you go in, do an IV test. I know it's nasty, I know it's scary, but that's the best way to circumvent the potential metabolism peaks and valleys that you could be missing by, doing it 3 hours later, or 4 hours later, or 2 hours later. 2 IUs Omnitrope intravenously, and check your blood growth hormone levels 5 minutes after, right? It takes about 5 minutes for serum concentrations to be homogenized, right? That the concentration is equal everywhere. And of course, IGF-1 will take, a couple hours or maybe even days to really reach peak serum concentrations. So how about you do 2 IUs Omnitrope before bed for a week? That should raise your IGF-1 levels. And then the day before you do your blood test, you still do 2 IUs Omnitrope intramuscularly or subcutaneously before bed. And then 5 minutes before you actually draw blood, you do 2 IUs Omnitrope IV. If your growth hormone level isn't 80, 100, 125 nanograms per milliliter, 100% bunk. And just send it to me. I'll take care of it for you. Don't worry, right? I'll pay for the postage. Actually, if it's I only want it if it's 100 milligrams per milliliter. Otherwise, I don't want it. Maybe the trash bin will want it. Mudasher asked, let's see. As Steve, my chest is quite sore for a few days with as little as 10 to 12 sets of exercises, but my shoulders are never sore, even with a lot more volume in giant sets. Does this mean I can train shoulders more often? That's part of the story. I mean, soreness is just, lactate, right? It's lactic acid buildup, and that irritates the tissue. So maybe your chest is not as efficient to remove the lactate from the skeletal muscle, being the chest, obviously, and then your shoulders are. And of course, your shoulders are structurally different from the chest. There's a lot of small muscle fibers, whereas the chest is basically 2 or 3. The chest, upper, lower, and then the little thingy underneath. Basically 3 separate muscles. So maybe it takes more time for the soreness to go away. Maybe you need to do some deep tissue massage therapy. Maybe you need some beta-alanine, right? Or maybe some citrulline malate during your chest workouts. Soreness is just an indication of work, but it's not the sole end-all determining factor if you worked hard enough for hypertrophy to make it grow. And otherwise, maybe you try shoulders twice a week. You do shoulders one time with your chest day and another time on a separate day. Because, of course, if you do chest day, you use a little bit of front delt and side delts, depending on the exercise. So maybe you do a little bit of laterals, maybe rear delt flies, and maybe some front raises, all isolation movements on shoulder day. That's kind of what I do on my push day right now. And then you do a separate shoulder day, and then you go ham with the presses, right? Dumbbell press, a barbell press, standing military press, whatever, right? Whatever press you like. And then a little bit of, cable work as an example to kind of finish it off. Give it a month, give it 2 months. Make sure you eat a fuckload of food and take your steroids if you do take them, which I do think you take, Mudasar, because you ask me drug questions all the time. So in your case, eat a little bit more and maybe inject a little bit harder, and then your shoulders should grow also. Mudasar also asks, hey Steve, I usually can go hungry without carbs until about 2 p.m. But once I ingest carbs, I start feeling hungry every 2 hours roughly. And thereafter, is there a reason behind this? Insulin release. Yeah, your selection of carbohydrate sources. Maybe the carbohydrate sources that you're eating are digesting very, very fast and causing a very high insulin response. So you get insulin oversecretion, causing your blood glucose levels to come down in about 2 hours after meals. And then in this dip of borderline hypoglycemia, you get the munchies. Basically the same thing as what wheat does. That also gives you a borderline hypoglycemia because insulin or wheat can cause some sort of insulin response. So in that sense, it's very similar. Maybe you need to go with the potatoes or add some vegetables and healthy fats to each meal so you can kind of slow down the digestion of the carbohydrate sources that these meals containing carbs have. And that way you might be able to circumvent this, immediate insulin release, get more sustained glucose level in the bloodstream, more sustained insulin release, and thus you're not hungry after 2 hours. And otherwise, a lot of people would be jealous for this. They would say, if I'm hungry after 2 hours, I can just eat more and grow harder, right? If you're going to train shoulders twice a week, why don't we feed into this? You have your carbs, every 2 hours. Why the fuck not, right? We're trying to grow here. So eat a little bit more. Just don't get fat. And by the way, thanks for your postprandial hypoglycemia video. There is nothing like it anywhere else. This shows how much of a genius you are. I watched this video last year around this time because I was suffering from it every evening upon hitting the gym. I searched up everywhere I can, but it's hard to explain or to find answers. Thank you. So thanks to you that you had it made already with such a niche but bothersome subject. I have about 1,000 videos on my YouTube channel, so I can't even remember which one it was. But if it was helpful, my pleasure. I've made so many videos. I can't remember. What kind of hypoglycemia video did I have a video about the intricacies of insulin and leading into incretin response, right? To kind of explain to you guys how semaglutide and liraglutide would work otherwise at the time that these medications became very popular. But yeah, I have a boatload of videos related to insulin sensitivity and insulin. So if it was helpful, don't forget to like. Ahmed Klavs asks, hey Steve, don't you think that Gorilla Respawn with 2.5 grams of tyrosine is overkill for people who eat a ton of chicken breasts? No, dude, not at all. And the dopamine video will drop on Monday, so you will see that I actually like higher servings of L-tyrosine, once, 2 times, maybe even 3 times per day. I prefer at least 1,000 milligrams up to 2,500 milligrams, depending on how I feel and whatever else I'm stacking with that neurotransmitter precursor, intake at that time. So I don't think it's overkill at all. But of course, you get L-tyrosine and L-phenylalanine from your diet, and you might get, 10, 20 grams of phenylalanine and then 5, 10 grams, 15 grams of L-tyrosine over the day from dietary sources. So the difference is that from dietary sources, it needs to be broken down, take some time to digest and ingest, right? And then you get a little bit of dopamine boost. But if you take L-tyrosine with vitamin B6, P5P, which helps with the conversion of L-tyrosine into L-dopa into dopamine, then you get a dopamine kick. And then fuck me, dude, you're going to work hard. I mean, guess what I took about an hour ago? Gorilla Mind Respawn, baby. I mean, I'm very motivated to get this 2.5 hours of answering questions done. You'll see. You'll see when the Gorilla Mind Gorilla Mind Respawn is starting to wear off. They'll answer shit slower and less intellectually. Let's see. Ahmed Kalafs also asked, did you notice being more introvert or antisocial while being on modafinil? Is there any way to shorten its active life or half-life? No, not at all, man. I think I was super social and active and friendly on modafinil. Because, I mean, it has some dopaminergic and serotonergic effects, which, man, I was researching into it for a while, but I kind of somehow forgot. Anyway, there'll be a modafinil video reasonably soon. So anyway, it has some overlapping effect on serotonin. And no, man, I felt always very, very social and very interactive and easygoing when I was on modafinil, 50 milligrams per day. Maybe you take too much, or maybe your dopamine neurotransmitter synthesis isn't sufficient, right? If something like modafinil or any of these other nootropics is stimulating the synthesis and release of particular neurotransmitters, but you're not getting enough adequate building blocks of these neurotransmitters in, then you might start to feel weird or antisocial or introvert, right? I mean, you still need to supplement and make sure that you have adequate building blocks. This is the entire basis of chapter 2 or part 2 of the entrepreneur nootropic stack, making you guys realize that you need L-tyrosine and that you need alpha-GPC or some sort of choline variant, right? That you need L-tryptophan or 5-hydroxytryptophan in your diet, just to make sure that you have adequate building blocks for dopamine and acetylcholine and serotonin, right? All those building blocks should be there. And then if you do take modafinil or racetam or Adderall, or whatever you prefer, then at least it's working properly and you don't get these weird side effects, right? So it's a step-by-step thing. And this is why all those biohackers are always weird as fuck. Because they just slam the nootropics and they don't eat right, because most of the nootropics have an appetite suppressing effect, and thus they look mad unhealthy and they look a little bit weird because they're highly stimulated from such a high dose because the neurotransmitter balance is completely off, right? And then you take the nootropics away and they completely fall apart, right? So yeah, I hate to say it, but I said it. Ahmed Klav asks, after Kurt and Dr. Dean's rant about growth hormone, when is the ideal time to pin it per cardio sessions for max fat burning effect? Did I watch that podcast? I think I didn't watch it yet. So yeah, Kurt, I think, was the one who introduced that it takes hours for the lipolytic effect from growth hormone to take into effect. And there might be some merit to it if you go purely with the scientific evidence. But if you go with experience, and my experience tells me that a growth hormone administration 1 hour before cardio and 1 hour before the workout does have some sort of lipolytic effect over months that you're doing it. then that seems to be the best way to go. And if you're a bodybuilder and you're constantly eating, when you're inhibiting some sort of lipolysis, right, it's going to be very hard to time the growth hormone in for the sake of fat burning otherwise. So you can take it before bed when you're in a fasted state, or you can do the old school method that you wake up at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning when you've already had your nighttime growth hormone pulse, and then you top that one off with exogenous use in order to suppress further cortisol release when you start waking up, right? Which you can also take phosphatidylserine and estrogen root extract, or both load high dosages of testosterone. Also has a very good suppressive effect on cortisol. So, long story short, take your growth hormone and shut the fuck up and follow your diet and do your activity, and all will be okay. And everything will be okay if you're just consistent. Ahmed asks, started performance-enhancing drugs at the age of 32. Now I'm 36 with no breaks in between, just TRT. Okay, that's fine. Or baby cycles. Do I have to take breaks of test and go on a PCT for a while? No, I would recommend you to at least have some human chorionic gonadotropin in the picture to keep your testicular function active, right? So by the time you do want to come off to conceive a child, for example, then testicular function wasn't shut down for a very long time. That being said, I was shut down for, let's say, 10 years in total with intermittent breaks of hCG blasts in between. And yeah, I got my fertility parameters back just quite well. But, you know, that's not the same case for everybody. So in your case, I would recommend at least a little bit of hCG in the picture. And then maybe periods where you just do TRT, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 months, however long you prefer, right? It's 6 weeks TRT or 6 weeks off. That's not off. That's fucking bullshit. If you want to be off or in TRT, do it at least for a couple months. You know, I mean, I've been off now for almost a year, and that's really off, right? And when I say I'm off, I'm still on hCG, FSH, and some growth hormone. So, you know, it's never off, completely off. I would do a PCT when you're ready to conceive. And even then, my last PCT was somewhat successful, but I didn't feel good. So I'd rather do hCG and FSH instead of relying on luteinizing hormone and follicle stimulating hormone coming from my pituitary. And I would say that I feel 10 times better than the last time I came off fully. So once you bite the bullet, you're never fully off. Unless you go to jail. Then you're fully off. Then you're fully off, yeah. Ahmed asks, how can I grow a wide back and shoulders? Exercise selection. Well, close grip stuff for a wide back, and obviously laterals for shoulders. So it's very simple. T-bar rows, right? Seated rows, where you do the cable seated rows, and maybe some chest supported rows, right? But as long as you do everything close grip, then you tend to develop your lats, and then you will finish the workout off with some pullovers, for example. And then for shoulders, it's just, you know, varieties of lateral raises that have to be strict, they have to be controlled. So if you see people, you know, doing lateral raises with 30 kilos, that ain't strict. That's a lot of trap and upper back and, well, knee and lower back also. So do it super strict. I'd hold it at the top, half a second. Same with the contractions at the back. Hold it at the, you know, the peak contraction for half a second. And you know, then give it some time. Give it a couple of years, because it does take time to grow muscle tissue. And of course, you need to be in a caloric surplus to grow muscle tissue as efficiently as possible. Give me a slight caloric surplus, right? It doesn't have to be fucking permabulk. And you take it from there, man. It takes time. Just because I'm big doesn't mean it didn't take me 25 years to get big. Let's see. Which is better for collagen synthesis, joints, and connective tissue? Anavar versus Nandrolone phenylpropionate versus equipoise. I would say Anavar, but that's mostly because it's the most studied. I mean, there is some collagen synthesis effects from Nandrolone, and I think 1 or 2 studies of Boldenone that shows that. So, long story short, most steroids potentiate collagen synthesis because it's part of, you know, protein synthesis process, right? So, but the most studies and the most prescribed in the context of improving collagen synthesis is Anavar, and the medical dose is 20 milligrams per day for up to 4 weeks. Which that 4 weeks is way too short, of course. That's when the fun starts. So I would run the Anavar for maybe 12 weeks, 16 weeks at incrementally increasing dosages, right? You can start with 5 milligrams for a couple of weeks, then 10, then 20. And if you do want to bump it up, then feel free to do so. Let's see. Evan asks, hey, Steve, my extremities always get very cold, or get cold AF. That's as fuck for the people who are unaware. Happens way more when I take stimulants. Vasoconstriction, yes. But it's been a problem for years. Was hoping you might have some advice to fix this issue. Well, it could be a multitude of different things, but yeah, if you do take stimulants, of course, the vasoconstriction will limit blood flow to the extremities, and that will make the sensation of cold even worse. So, what can you do? Step number 1, no more stimulants. That includes caffeine or anything else that can be vasoconstrictive. Step number 2, take something that's vasodilating, man. Take something that's vasodilating, like beetroot extract or carditone, right, or magnesium. Yeah, magnesium is also a vasodilator, helps you to relax your arteries. Good for blood pressure management. Very good. Cialis, telmisartan, right? Valsartan, lisinopril, a boatload of blood pressure medications you can look into. But I think the best thing you can do for raising your body temperature is just by slowly but steadily increasing your carbohydrate intake and focusing on mitochondrial health, because it's the mitochondria that help with energy production and overall heat production in that process. Don't do the DNP thing to make the ATP synthesis less efficient and throwing off a lot of heat. You can get the same effect by focusing on mitochondrial health and increasing your carbohydrate intake with, let's say, vitamin B1 to B vitamins. Yeah, B vitamins alongside of that. And then slowly but surely your metabolism will pick up, your mitochondrial function will upregulate, and then your energy production and your overall heat production will go up. And guess what? Protein is quite thermogenic. So make sure you have some protein with your carbohydrates. Yeah, but it might take some time. Right? Maybe your metabolism right now is just absolute trash and you need to build that up, and you can't do that overnight. It takes consistency. 5 meals per day for, let's say, 6 months to 9 months before it really starts ramping up. That's why most pro bodybuilders, they take months to prepare during the off season to ramp up their metabolism, and then take months to diet down while the metabolism is still ramped up. Thomas, what dosage and duration would you use to address tolerance to injectable Superdrol? Oh, God. I make one fucking podcast, and in my inbox and here in the Vigorous Q&A, everybody wants to fucking know about injectable Superdrol. In terms of how it affects your lipids and liver markers. Well, I've never used injectable Superdrol. I've used injectable Anadrol and Guaiacol, which I would not recommend anybody to use. But apparently Roman Fritz had access to injectable Superdrol and MCT oil, which when the carrier oil deep dive video drops in a couple of weeks, right, my editor is backed up, then you will understand that MCT oil is certainly better to suspend injectable oral steroids in than any other solvent like carrier oil, right? Because MCT oil doesn't cause systemic inflammation. So to answer your question, 50 milligrams of Superdrol with Roman Fritz was using, that's a bodybuilding competition dose, right? And if you're not doing a bodybuilding competition, I would limit it to 10 to 20 milligrams injectable Superdrol per administration, maximum 2 times per day, intramuscularly. And then I would run it for maybe 2 weeks in duration at maximum, because Superdrol is madly for toxic. And, if you're injecting it, you're bypassing the first metabolism, which means that the second, being the only pass to the liver, is going to be increased toxicity. So 20 milligrams, 2 weeks in duration, job done. Yeah, make sure you have your TUDCA ready and your liver transplant ready, so you can get away with the side effects. All right, what's next? So Van Rostain. So Van Rostain. Okay. Hello, sir. Currently on testosterone replacement therapy for 4 months. Recently, chest pains, moderate or slight, located along the left pectoral. Okay, why don't you go to a doctor? And we have cardiologists for this. Wasn't there somebody last week who asked me about chest pain? Guys, don't ask me. I'm not a cardiologist. I'm not a doctor. Fuck, dude. Full blood test is good, but high sensitivity C-reactive protein is 7.3 milligrams per liter. Normal range is, so that's way too high. That's myocarditis level. Yeah. After USA, I had 11 milligrams per liter. Yeah. Guess who walk around with myocarditis in the USA for 2 weeks? Yours truly. Let's see. CKMB, so that's the heart-specific creatine phosphokinase, is good. 3.2 units per liter, so that's good. Under 30 years old, good health, and no family risk of cardiovascular disease. Well, with that CRP level, I beg to differ. What scans and tests would you recommend? Okay, first, let's go to a doctor. Second, show them your blood work. Explain that you experience myocarditis from this severe inflammatory state of a high sensitivity C-reactive protein of 7.3 milligrams per liter that you currently, how to finish the sentence, are undergoing, experience, whatever. I would ask for a electrocardiogram first to see if there's any arrhythmias, then an echocardiogram, an ultrasound on your heart to see if there's any cardiac inflammation, which you can sometimes detect with an X-ray. But if you're already going to do an echo, why not just do the echo and not subject yourself to X-rays? Right? You're not going to turn into a Hulk. It doesn't work like that. And then after that, you need to take away the root cause of the high sensitivity C-reactive protein, which could be due to the carrier oil that you're taking. Yes, the carrier oil deep dive video will explain all of that, and I have videos about this already on the channel. So you use the fucking search function. Use the fucking search function. And otherwise, it could be diet related, right? Because there's so many factors that can increase C-reactive protein levels. I mean, fuck, I got my notes right here. Let me give you a quick list. So here, causes of elevated C-reactive protein levels: viral infections and allergic reactions, extreme cold, vitamin A, C, D, and K deficiency, saturated fats and trans fats if chronically abused, processed foods and food intolerances. This is probably one of the first things you need to look into. Stress and socioeconomic factors, high serum lipid levels in obese individuals, obstructive sleep apnea could also be something that you need to look into. Rheumatoid arthritis, which is, of course, an inflammatory condition of the connective tissue. High altitude, hypoxia and altitude sickness. Frequent flying. So, in some pilots and flight attendants, when they fly a lot, their C-reactive protein levels are elevated. Substance abuse, smoking, nicotine, weed, kratom, alcohol, GHB, other recreational drugs. Birth control or other oral estrogen therapies, elevated cytokines, which happens in certain diseases, and injecting non-United States pharmacopoeia synthetic carrier oils, which maybe be part of the problem of the TRT that you're currently taking. So yeah, there you have it. You guys make sure you still watch the carrier oil deep dive video, okay? Since I just spoiled the beans and blew my load all over the screen. Oh, yeah, wait a minute. Forgot this one. Lethal Promotions asks, hey Steve, do you have experience with Adamax? No, I have not. It is touted as a superior version of Semax or Cmax. I enjoy Cmax or Semax. Guys, how do you pronounce it? I still don't know. I tried to ask some Russians here in Thailand, and they've never even heard about Cmax. I thought those Russians would, I'd probably love vodka, and that's where I draw the line. I enjoy Semax, but I will probably try Adamax, but wanted your input first. No, so I've never tried it. I've heard good responses, though. I had people go to like science.bio, for example, and they just buy N-acetyl Semax and Adamax and regular Semax, and they go with the recommended dosages, which, as the formula changes, the dosages usually goes down. And then they like either Adamax or N-acetyl Semax, or, for the benefits to price difference, they like Semax more. So, I mean, there's like a million racetams, right? And there's a million Modafinil variants. So give them all a try, experience them, and see which one you like best. When I get to Adamax, Semax, and N-acetyl Semax, then I'll group that all together. And I'll tell you exactly that, but I'll go a little bit more through the scientific literature and give some dosage range recommendations on the screen. All right, but I've tried Semax. I like it. 1 month on, 1 month off. I haven't touched it in a while because, of course, the fertility data is far from conclusive. So I'm at a point where I can only touch stuff which have some clear scientific literature that it's good for fertility, right? So, yeah. A day natty is a day wasted. Let's see, Thomas. What is your opinion on subcutaneous NAD plus injections? Are they worth it, or should I just stick with 500 milligrams nicotinamide mononucleotide per day? Well, I think NAD plus should be done intravenously, but I think you can do it sub-Q, right? I mean, I started to see some NAD plus or some injectable NAD plus on the market on some of the gray area peptide websites, and I haven't heard any complaints. Now, the problem is with injectable glutathione and NAD plus and other injectable antioxidants, basically, is that they might have some pro-oxidant effects at the site of administration. This is why, vitamin C, glutathione, and NAD plus mostly are done through intramuscular or IV administrations, and dissolved in normal saline solution at like 200 milliliters, 250, 500 milliliters, depending on how fast you can kind of tap that in. So you could do Sub-Q NAD plus administrations or inject or intramuscular if you want. I'm just not sure what happens at the injection site, right? So I have access to pharmaceutical compounded NAD plus here in Thailand. I buy that in bulk, 100 vials at a time. My bank account is not happy, but at least I get a fat discount this way. And then once a week, my IV nurse comes by and administers 200 milligrams NAD plus IV for me with glutathione and vitamin C and B100 complex. And then taps me on the shoulder like good job, and then I pay her money and she's out the door. But if you don't have access to that, then subcutaneous NAD plus injections at 100 milligrams per week is better, I would say, than no NAD plus administrations if you're over 35 years old. I don't think you need it under 35 years old, but I would say that above 35 years old, and especially if you're 40, 50, 60 years old, it will start to matter and become more beneficial for sure. And then 500 milligrams nicotinamide mononucleotide is just sustaining the NAD plus that you're administering, right? So give it a try. Here we go. Would injecting glutathione subcutaneously hurt less? Will it still be effective? I mean, it's in the body, so it will be effective. Of course, it will leave the injection depot slower compared to the intramuscular injection site, but it will still hurt. Yeah, I've been doing a lot of subcutaneous shots intramuscularly and subcutaneously. And the problem is with glutathione, if you want, 600 milligrams, it's at least 3 cc's because most formulas are like 200 milligrams per 1 milliliter when you go with glutathione. I haven't seen any higher concentration than that. The pharmaceutical Bayer Tationil, Bayer Tationil, is it the one? Tationil, yeah. Bayer Tationil that I use is 600 milligrams per 4 milliliters. So that's, let's whip out the invisible calculator. 600 divided by 4. 150 milligrams per 1 milliliter. And even that hurts. It's not cool, man. Doesn't feel right. So, yeah, it's just something you have to deal with, unfortunately. Let's see. Thomas, fijne feestdagen. Hartelijk bedankt. Thomas. Let's see. Say you use 2 IUs of growth hormone per day and you train every body part twice per week. Would you inject 2 IUs growth hormone on one side both days? You train that muscle, or 1 IU bilaterally both days? Honestly, the localized effect of a growth hormone, I would say, are greatly exaggerated. Greatly. I can use myself as an example. I did growth hormone in my right chest for almost a year straight, and it didn't grow anymore, or didn't catch up to my left chest. So IGF-1 has a localized effect. Sure, Amino Asylum, Injectable, Stampede, and a Super Shredder have a localized effect. But growth hormone, if you do maybe 8 IUs locally, okay, you might get some localized autocrine IGF-1 production. But I think with a 1 IU per shot, might as well do it fucking sub-Q, dude. Honestly, not worth the scar tissue, I would say. But if you want to do it, if you're set in your ways, then feel free to split it up bilaterally. I mean, I know we all love to split hairs and go with the minutia and go with the smallest benefits we could possibly get, and then make the most out of our cycle. But the net results might be exactly the same whether you do sub-Q or intramuscular 1 IU bilaterally. Bill K. Hey Steve, have a varicocele and hCG at 750 IUs per week doesn't seem to make my balls any fuller. That means aside from fertility issues, I don't get neurosteroid benefits. No, so the neurosteroids you can still produce in the adrenal glands. Actually, that's the primary source of neurosteroid production. The DHA, DHA sulfate, pregnenolone, pregnenolone sulfate, that comes from the adrenal glands located next to your kidneys. So if you're on hCG and there's no varicocele to your adrenal glands, then you still get the benefit of neurosteroid production. But if you have a varicocele, the amount of hCG that might enter the testicles and activate the Leydig cells, activate the Leydig cells, might be less than if you don't have a varicocele. And if you have a varicocele and fertility is really important to you, get it fixed. Right? Because the longer you have a varicocele, the more of an issue you might cause in your testicles because the blood flow is less and less and less and less and less. And the longer you have less blood flow to your testicles, the worse it is for your testicles, allegedly. So if you have a varicocele, just get it fixed. Just get it fucking fixed, dude. And then, you know, by the time you do want to get your wife pregnant, then it's already done. And then you've had some recovery period in the meantime, right? So you don't have to like, oh, I want to get my wife pregnant, but I have a varicocele and my semen analysis is like 5 million sperm per 1 milliliter. So, and I'm only shooting 3 milliliters. So I'm way below the World Health Organization recommended guidelines. So I can't get my wife pregnant. And now I have to do surgery with a recovery period of a couple of weeks. And then I need to bring my fertility levels up, which might take 6 months, right? Just get it done now. Just get it done now, get it out the door, and by the time you are ready to shoot loads into your wife, then the fertility parameters are absolutely stellar. Right? And the neurosteroids, even if the adrenal glands are not working according to the hCG that you're taking, you can supplement with that, right? You can't supplement with semen, but you can supplement, well, I'll ask Connor Murphy. I'll ask him when I see him again. Well, you can supplement with neurosteroids, DHEA, and pregnenolone. You could just buy over the counter at... Amazon or iHerb, right? So make sure you use my discount codes. All right, Bill K. Is it better to stop or increase dose to see if it has an effect? I'm 2 months in on 210 milligrams of testosterone per week. Is it better to stop or increase the dose to see if it will have an effect? Oh, about the hCG. No, so get the varicocele fixed. Yeah. All right. I'm 18, so I shouldn't worry about injecting NAD+. No, dude, you don't need it. You're young. You shouldn't even be touching steroids, bro. Are you injecting steroids? Thomas? You want to know about injectable Superdrol? Dude, you're 18 years old. Waar ben je mee bezig, gast? Waar the fuck ben je mee bezig? Thomas, come on, man. Get your head out of your ass. You don't have to worry about injecting shit. All right? All you need to worry about is getting drunk and putting your dick in women that are far below your worth. But that's what you do when you're 18. You know, you fuck a couple 6s and 7s. And yeah, and that's what you should be worried about when you're 18 years old. I'm just doing research. Okay, that's fine. That is totally fine. But yeah, just have enjoy your teenage years with a fully functioning HPTA. Because once you start dabbling at this young old, then not everybody's going to be a Roman Fritz or an IFBB pro when they start taking steroids at the age of 18. All right, I guess we're already done with the questions. That was fast. Here. Somebody asked one more question in the group. It's good that I checked. Let's see. Let's format it so it looks good. Let's see. GHD4225 asks, I've watched all of your videos on sleep and implemented many of the suggestions. However, I still have one problem. I always wake up after 6 hours and can't fall back asleep. I've had this problem for the past 4 years. I don't feel rested. I thought maybe I was experiencing dawn phenomenon due to insulin resistance. I usually have blood glucose readings between 80s to 90s upon waking. Okay, so that's good. Got tested for sleep apnea, and that's not the issue. Fasting cortisol is within the reference range. Surprisingly, even with sleep deprivation, my total testosterone is 830 nanograms per deciliter. Sweet. But my SHBG is 53. Libido is basically non-existent. Thoughts on what could be going on? Test I should go do. Okay, so you're waking up after 6 hours. Could be with some sort of melatonin secretion imbalance or growth hormone insufficiency, right? A growth hormone deficiency. So maybe these are things you can look into. And the funny thing is, high dose melatonin also releases growth hormone, which you can detect on serum. So why don't you slowly start ramping up the dose of melatonin? You have a immediate acting, maybe a sublingual version, 3 milligrams that you take sublingually that starts working right away, and then a slow release or an extended release version, which you take 3 milligrams, 6 milligrams, 10 milligrams, 20 milligrams, right? Slowly build it up. Now, that might also help with growth hormone secretion, right? And there's many different growth hormone secretagogues that you can take naturally. I think I mentioned those in one of the MK677 and insulin resistance videos, but I could be mistaken. I do remember making it. where I talked about the maximum growth hormone secretion. Let me see. Which one was that? Growth. I think it was in the MK677 video, but I'm not sure. So I'll link it down below. I think it was in there where I talked about methods how to enhance growth hormone secretion. Let's see. Done. So that's linked down below. I'll look into that. And, you know, your libido might be, you know, impaired, not because of your SHBG. I mean, my SHBG is higher and my libido is totally fine. So shut the fuck up, right? You probably saw the numbers on paper and then you realize like, oh, my SHBG is high and now my libido is good. Not good. Maybe it's because of the sleep deprivation. Maybe you're not eating right? Maybe you're in a caloric deficit chronically. Maybe you're highly stressed, you know? Stress could also impact your sleep quality, you know? So I'm not sure what you're doing in your life and how busy work or school or whatever is, but all these things can affect your sleep quality. So first thing I would look into is just slowly ramping up a melatonin dose and then take it from there, right? Take it from there. Let's see what tests you should do. Well, if your cortisol is already fine, I mean, maybe look into phosphatidylserine, you know? Phosphatidylserine, phosphatidylserine and high dose melatonin. I think that would be the first direction I would go. All right, let's see. Carlos H. Here. Also, wait a minute. Didn't I just answer this? Wait a minute. All right, okay. Also, as a result of the lack of sleep, my insulin sensitivity sucks. Last year, my hemoglobin A1C was 5.7, but I got it down to 5.3 with diet and supplements. Will I ever be able to bulk on high carbs again? Yeah, of course, but you have to slowly increase your metabolism and make sure that you eat dietary or carb sources that take some time to digest. You know, and then I'm not sure what else you're doing for your insulin sensitivity, but you could take berberine or magnesium or fish oil or validyl sulfate or some over-the-counter formula that helps with insulin sensitivity, right? I mean, there's so many things who can affect your hemoglobin A1C. And you know, if you're already fixated with diet and subs, maybe you can get it down even more. And then you know, see if you can slowly start ramping up the calories again without it negatively affecting your hemoglobin A1C. Yeah, maybe do a little bit of walking, you know, in between meals or walking in between gym, right? To just keep your energy expenditure up and your blood flow up. And I mean, dude, look into magnesium deficiency and hemoglobin A1C. I'm sure there's a correlation there. Right? You'd be surprised how many people are magnesium deficient and then get all kinds of negative side effects because of that. Oh, that's the one. Okay, that's the one you typed. Okay, so you're CH4225, I guess. All right, I hope that answers it, dude. All right, maybe you're magnesium deficient. Bill K, thanks, man. Your urologist back then told me if I do the varicocelectomy, and don't intend to have kids soon, it can reappear after some years. That's why I avoided it. It's not in a severe grade yet, though. Okay. I didn't know about that. Okay. Okay. Well, then you have to go with the, you know, the specialist, the urologist, right? I'm not a urologist. I've talked to people who had a varicocelectomy surgery, and they it didn't come back, you know, after a couple of years. So I don't know. Do some more research. See if they're full of shit or not. I've never heard about the potential that it can come back or not, but maybe your case is a unique case, and maybe there's a higher likelihood that the varicocele does come back even if you had surgery. Did you say you're more likely to have a girl if you have high oxidative stress? Yeah. So if you know start pulling various studies together and you look at the oxidative stress and the stress that it can have, or the negative effect that it can have on the Y chromosome, which is the male chromosome, then the Y chromosome might be disproportionately more damaged. And due to the DNA damage, you know, if you try to get your wife pregnant with a damaged XY chromosome, then you know, it's not going to work. So if you have a lot of XX chromosomes that are not, oxidized or haven't been destroyed due to oxidative stress, then you're more likely to get a girl, right? So it's a disproportionate relationship between XY that's undamaged to the XX chromosomes that are undamaged in the semen. So this is basically, putting that together. But there's not a single study that shows that. You're pulling from different studies, right? Training causes oxidative stress. Oxidative stress on steroids, or training on oxidative. Fuck, man. Training on steroids causes more oxidative stress. And then, of course, if you're even on a little bit of TRT, I mean, you're just allowing yourself to train fucking hard. So I took the TRT out. So I handicapped myself, and then I took a boatload of antioxidants so I could ensure that I have equal chances. So my oxidative states are very, very low. All right. We got 45 minutes left, guys. But if there's no more questions, we are going to go public. Let's see. All right, I guess that's it. All right, then. Well, let's go public. Let everybody else join. Look at that bold face. Holy shit. All right, we are now live or public. I go to the bathroom in 30 minutes, though. That's all right. We are public, right? Are we? We are. Okay. Of course, everybody's hanging out with Paul Barnett. Yeah. High dose growth hormone timing. Oh, no. Let's see. Can MOTS-c be run long term, or is something you should do only for a few weeks on, a few weeks off? So there's no longitudinal data on MOTS-c, obviously. I mean, it's a peptide. Most of the animal study, or most of the studies are animal models, excuse me. So we don't know. I think I ran it for 6 months straight, and then after that, I got kind of tired of the inflammatory response and this weird feeling that you sometimes get if you inject it too fast. So I decided to quit. Right, but I had a fuckload of energy, and fat loss was super, super easy when I was running MOTS-c. And it seems that I have no negative side effects so far, right? I'm in a good state of health. All my blood work parameters are nice, and my energy levels are still quite high because I supplement with NAD plus and nicotinamide mononucleotide. That helps quite a bit. So I don't know. Run it for as long as you feel comfortable with. That's what I would say. 5 milligrams, 2.5 milligrams twice per week, right? My sweet spot was 5 milligrams twice per week. Yeah, that was pretty fucking good. Let's see. Brandon family. Bro splits, push-pull legs, etc. What's your take on sets per muscle group? As many sets as you can recover from. There's no black and white answer, dude. And the way I perform sets might not be the same way as you perform sets, right? I focus on time under tension. My tempo is perfect, right? My first rep looks very similar to my last rep. There's no crazy explosive bullshit. I do pauses and peak contractions for half a second, right? So I can get away with 6 to 8 sets, sometimes 10, depending on the body part and how much food I'm eating. But other people can only get away with 6 because they train even more intense, right? Because they're even stronger. And other guys can do 20 sets because they lack the intensity. So again, do as many sets as you can recover from at the training frequency that you can recover from. And if you don't know, buy one of his Mike Israel's ebooks. He'll break it down for you nice and easy. But I train for fun. My body tells me when I've had enough volume. and enough intensity. So, I'm coming up to a deload this week, so next week. So this week was a bit rough. I felt a little bit fatigued. I felt a little bit tired. So instead of doing like 8 to 10 sets per workout, I did maybe 6 to 8. And I felt satisfied. I felt home. I got a good contraction, big contraction. I got sweaty, and my legs were shaking a little bit, and all the other muscle groups were shaking a little bit. And then I threw in the towel. It's like, okay, job done. Job done. D-Low, Cortexin versus Cerebrolysine. Which one is better? I'm not sure because I've only used Cerebrolysine, but Cortexin does look promising. I mean, it also has some neurogenic effects, obviously, but I've never seen a head-on-head comparison from somebody who's used both. So, unfortunately, I can't help you there. And I'll probably, if I do those videos, I'll probably do them separately, not in combination, because, of course, they work a little bit differently, right? So, I don't know. Maybe Cerebrolysine works better simply because more people use it and more people report good results, right? And I rarely hear anybody talk about Cortexin. So maybe you have to go with the audience sometimes. And if the large majority prefers Cerebrolysine, that might indicate that that's better. Do you know how the stress results in XX chromosome sperm? Please reformulate. Thomas, do you know how the stress results in XX? Let's try this question again. Kura-chan, hey Steve, would IV6 I use growth hormone thicken my heart muscle? I'm not sure, but why would you if you have a dilated cardiomyopathy? I mean, why are you taking a risk to fuck with your heart any further? It doesn't make fucking sense. Plus, you don't need to do IV growth hormone. I mean, I talked about IV growth hormone because I was coaching a couple Indian and Arab bodybuilders and they swore by it, but you're not an Indian or Arab bodybuilder, are you, right? And to be fair, Indian and Arab bodybuilders are probably the biggest abusers on this planet. So even though I coached them and they swore by it, so I let them, doesn't mean that you have to. Doesn't mean that you fucking have to, especially if you have an issue with your heart. So get your heart diagnosed and lay off the growth hormone. If you want to do growth hormone too, I use intramuscularly, and that's it, dude. So you're really on the wrong track here, dude. Yeah, get your head out of your ass and stop fucking around if you're asking these kind of questions. Hey coach, with ancillaries and dosages, I need which ancillaries and dosages I need for 200 milligrams test, 200 milligrams Primo, and 10 milligrams Anavar per day, and what for 300 milligrams test, 300 Primo, and 10 milligrams Anavar per day. Ancillaries and dosages. Well, if your blood pressure is off, you might need telmisartan, but check your blood pressure first. If your blood pressure is fine, you don't need telmisartan. Check your resting heart rate, right? Which you can mitigate with, cardio and just managing your blood pressure with magnesium. But if your resting heart rate is chronically high, you're not scheduled for a deload, maybe look into Nebivolol, right? Let's see. I think your estrogen levels are going to be perfectly normal. Your SHBG might be slightly crashed, right? If you're in a caloric deficit, this cycle might give you some libido issues. Or maybe not, right? Because Primo and Anavar are DHT-like, so you might get some DHT-like effects and get a solid libido. So again, we use ancillaries when problems start to occur, right? If you want to do preventative telmisartan and Nebivolol, then run a fucking man dose, run a fucking man cycle of 2 grams of steroids where you actually need it preventatively. But on 300 tests, 300 Primo, and 10 milligrams of Anavar, so that's 670 milligrams per week, I don't think you need any preventative ancillaries in place unless you have issues. All right, so check your blood pressure, look into a blood pressure medication. Check your heart rate, look into a beta blocker if needed, etc., etc., etc. The only thing I would recommend is maybe 500 milligrams of Tutka to, keep your liver enzymes low because you're taking an oral steroid. So, yeah, that's what would be my recommendations. Let's see. You said oxidative stress results in a higher chance of having a girl. Do you know how? I just explained that, dude. I said if you pull all of the scientific literature together, it appears that the XY chromosome of boys is more susceptible to oxidative stress. And when you train, oxidative stress goes up. When you take steroids, While training, oxidative stress is even higher. So if you put all of that together, it's very likely that the oxidative stress that you're inducing on the Y chromosome results in a disproportionate amount of X chromosomes, XX chromosomes, which is the female, that are now undamaged compared to the XY chromosomes, which could be potentially damaged. All right, Thomas, I hope it makes sense now. All right, I understand you're 18 years old, but all right, listen. I had explaining myself twice in the same fucking Vigorous Q&A. I had already answered the same fucking questions every week. So don't make it any worse than it needs to be. Kevin Stillo, are you still planning on testing ACAR and data after the pregnancy? You know what? Probably not, dude. Probably not. I'm kind of over experimenting. And I'm sure when I have a child in my hands, I will realize that all my experimentation days are done because it's no longer about me. It's about raising a child. I don't know how many people just keep on dying in this fitness industry. I think I need to reel it back in, dude. I've tried so many drugs already. And when you look at the views of the entrepreneur or of the endurance deep dive, it doesn't even fucking warrant doing the experiments because nobody gives a fuck. So why would I run it? Right? Nobody's hiring me for consultations for ICAR or data. Nobody's watching those videos. So why would I subject myself to experimental compounds with minimal scientific evidence after the pregnancy when I have a job to do is raising another fucking human being? Right? So no. Right? Ask somebody else to run that experiment or do the research yourself. I mean, I've taken over 500 different drugs, dude. Give me a break. Give me a fucking break. Let's see. You mentioned injectable amino acids. Dude, amino asylum, man. Look into my link tree. Look into the Control F shorts list. Come on, dude. Let's see. Where are we? Thoughts on 2 times per day training. I loved it when I had nothing else to do. When I was running that was the time when I would run high test cycles, right? Between 500 milligrams to 2,500 milligram cycles. I did like 2 a days. So I trained my major muscle group in the morning and then later in the evening, a small muscle group. And I had a great time, dude. But yeah, if you go to the gym, you train and then you come back and then you have your post-workout meal and a little bit of a nap and a little bit of a cooling off period. And you do that twice per day. There's not so much time for anything else. So right now I just train once per day and I get great results maintaining my physique. Back then I was growing in a caloric deficit, taking a good amount of testosterone. But yeah, a lot of IFBB pros and other athletes swear by it. I mean, you have that Bulgarian split training where they go into the gym like 7 times per day and hit like 80% of their max lift or something like that. I'm not entirely sure, but they would do like these micro workouts multiple times per day. So there's definitely something to say for it, but you obviously need the time to make that happen. Yeah. So if you're an athlete and you have the money and you have all the extra time, go for it, dude. It was great for me. It was absolutely great for me. Hey, coach, question. I caught hepatitis A and my liver enzymes are 10 times over the reference range. Any protocol you would recommend to get better ASAP? Yeah, go to a doctor. I don't know. I don't know, buddy. I mean, hepatitis A is food poisoning, right? Or is it hepatitis C? Hepatitis C. I like how you guys think that I have the answers for everything, but ingestion of contaminated food. Yeah. Go to the doctor, get some IV antibiotics and pass it through, right? So that would be my recommendation. Just seek some medical help, right? That's what they're there for, and get it fixed. I don't know. The hepatitis A you don't get in the context of taking performance enhancing drugs, so I really don't know. I really don't know, dude. Sorry. I hope you get better soon, because hepatitis A is no joke, right? And that, you know, the only real lesson you can learn from that is not to eat street food, right? I mean, Asia, South America, ooh, crazy place. Okay, blood pressure is at 115 to 58. No blood pressure medication. I do my fasted morning cardio, but a resting heart rate is around 75 to 80. Is it worrying? Should I start a beta blocker or leave it until it gets higher? So your blood pressure is too low and your heart rate is too high. You might be deficient in sodium. Might be deficient in sodium. I think magnesium is totally fine because your blood pressure is good, but your blood volume might be so low due to the lack of sodium that your heart now has to pump significantly faster to keep the blood volume somewhat intact. All right, so maybe start supplementing with sodium. That will be my first thing to look into. And let's see. Not a beta blocker, not anything to control your blood pressure. Dude, I would just have more sodium. Yeah, have more sodium. Again, that might not be the right solution, but that, you know, based on the information that you give me, that will be my first thing to kind of look into. Yeah, exactly. It needs more fluids and electrolytes. Yeah, it's very, very likely that that's it. Yeah, low blood volumes, the sodium and fluids. Jackson, hello. What's up, buddy? Jordy, what's up? Oh, thanks, Coach, for the super chat. Right, my pleasure, man. Get it diagnosed. Omagerd, Omgerdonsk. Yes, whatever. Best thumbnail ever. Hey, Steve, just checking in. That video with Roman was legendary. Yeah, thank you. It was a great conversation with Roman. Yeah, maybe we can do some more in the future because you guys really seem to like that one. We got 10,000 views in 2 days. That's fucking good. Push the anabolic to androgenic rating video right off number 1. Nice work, Roman. Fuck, man. 3 weeks I spent on that video. And 1.5 hours with Roman, he just wipes out all my gains. No, but Robin is a good guy, man. That's good people, right? One of the realest IFBB pros that are out there right now. All right. Let's see. hCG Pregnal price just increased to $180 for a 10,000 IU vial to 250 IUs here in America. I mean, it's your own fault. Or at least half of America's fault because you guys voted for the wrong guy. So, right? So don't, you know, blame half of the population. For somebody on 500 IUs 3 times a week, how long is each 10K vial good for after reconstituting? Love you. Okay, so if you reconstitute it with bacteriostatic water, it's good for about 10 to 14 days. Sterile water, maybe 7 days. And then sodium chloride. Oh, no, sterile water is like 3 days, 4 days. And then sodium chloride water, a normal saline solution is maybe a week, right? So, what I would do is go to anabolic pharmacist, buy yourself a couple pens of Merck Ovitrel, which is already pre-constituted, and then you transfer 500 IUs, or you transfer the full syringe of 0.5 milliliter into a sterile vial. You mix bacteriostatic water in there, and then you transfer that all into sterile insulin syringes, and then you keep that for the next 4 weeks. I think that's pretty doable, right? Because it's the constant puncturing of the sterile vial and letting all the air in. But if you mix it and you take, you transfer the liquid to insulin syringes which don't have any air in it, then I think it's not going to denature or break down or lose bioavailability within 4 weeks. Many people do it like that. I've used the Ovitrol, Merck Ovitrol like this myself, but it's very hard to transfer it directly to insulin syringes because the concentration is very, very high and the milliliter amount is so low. So if you do 1,000 IUs hCG 3 times per week, then it's, what was it, 8 IU on the insulin syringe, but 500 IUs is only 4 IU on the insulin syringe, right? So you're literally doing 2 drops over, 6,000 IU, so that's, yeah, 12 insulin syringes. It's kind of cumbersome. Yeah. Let's see. Happy holidays. Greetings from Finland to you, Steve. Happy holidays to you too. Merry fucking Christmas next week, dude. I hope you gather to good rest and relax with your family. I wish, dude. I appreciate the content you produce a lot. So big thanks to that. Yeah, so I've been producing content left and right. I got a boatload of videos in the pipeline, and I'm trying to record as many as I can. So my editor has a boatload of work to do back to back, and then I'll start making my own videos in between again. Because unfortunately, the editors that applied, yeah, I can't really say that those were suitable. So at one point, I'll just look, I don't know, then onlinejobs.ph or something. So in the meantime, I'm just going to do it myself with the editor that I already have. My family is in Holland. So I'll call in for Christmas for Skype, with Skype or Zoom or something like that. And yeah, but Monday, this is vlogging time. Monday, I will take all of the bodybuilders, a group of probably 15 people. Instead of Cheesecake Factory, we're going to go to the Christmas buffet over at the Marriott Marquis. Fuck yeah, dude. Yeah. Buffet. I'll bring the camera, right? The vlog. How many views did I get on that? Not that it's always about the views, but it's just that, it's like it has to be worth the editing time. So we got 4,000 views for the editing time. Yeah, that's worth it. All right. Like if you look at the view to editing time, right? The anabolic to androgenic rating has 8,000 views, right? And the Cheesecake Factory mission accomplished video has 4,000 views. That Cheesecake Factory, I was already there, and it took me like 30 minutes to edit that video together. The anabolic to androgenic rating video with double the views, that took weeks and well, $1,500 worth of editing expense. Yeah. How much money did I make on that? Analytics. Oh, if I could get myocarditis when I look at that. Okay, so I made $90 on that video. I spent over $1,500. Ah. Ah. And you guys say that I'm stingy. Fuck, dude. Right? I should just do reaction videos. Anyway, good response, so it's well worth it. So yeah, we're gonna do a food vlog again because it's a lot of fun to do food vlogs, and even though the views are low, the investment of time is reasonably low, and I'm there anyway, so might as well film it, right? So I can get out of my shell a little bit. Next time I go to the US, I can actually do some fucking vlogs, which I always seem to forget. So yeah, Merry Christmas to you too, and everybody else, right? Enjoy your fucking holidays. Mm-mm-mm. Iron Grid, well, Steve, what platform do you use for streaming again, or software? I use StreamYard, and I think you already mentioned something to me about other stream stuff. So with super chats that I get more of a commission, but everybody's on YouTube, dude. Everybody's subscribed here, so what can you do? All right, John D, John Doe, Juan Doe. Anavar and Clomiphene, good combo for recomp. Don't be mad. I mean, yeah, you can do it, but yeah, dude, promise me that you get your recomp done in 8 weeks, because enclomiphene I don't think is sustainable, dude. Look at all the side effects. It's lengthy. All right, so I made a video about how to run SARMs safely, where I also mentioned enclomiphene, but I don't think that enclomiphene is sustainable. So if you don't want to inject because your girlfriend doesn't like you injecting, or you have a roommate, or your parents are absolutely tyrannical and they can't find a syringe in your room, otherwise they deport you to a boarding school, then you know. If you must, you must, right? You can't run VAR and an over-the-counter test booster. That's not going to work. You're still going to be shut down. So if you must, VAR and enclomiphene, 25 milligrams of each, 8 weeks at maximum. All right? Also, Merry Christmas, you bastards. Yeah. Merry Christmas, you filthy animals. And a Happy New Year. Only 40-year-old fuckers will know this reference. All right, where are we? You will eat them out of business. Oh, I ate somebody out of business. Yeah. She's sleeping right now. Hey, Uncle Steve still got it. Still left with my own jokes. Next week is going to be even more fun. Yeah, but make sure you watch the beginning of this video about the boozers Q&A. Next week we're going to get trashed. Yeah, live on camera. And if if my wife has to come down at 6 in the morning to pick me up, then so be it. Steve's a dirty dog. Yeah. Dude, you have no idea, man. Oh my God. The older I get, the more experience. I mean, look at that. You think you get that for free? Look at that. Hard as a rock. Yeah, if you know, you know. Sorry, Dorian. All right, next one. Opinions on 250 milligrams Sustanon per week, 125 milligrams DHB, and 50 milligrams mint acetate. Something that I should really keep an eye on. Well, your liver enzymes are going to be elevated. Your lipids are going to be skewed. Your kidney markers are going to be skewed, which is the same as any other steroid cycle. So, I did DHB. I don't think is sufficient enough to lower your serum estradiol levels for this amount of testosterone. And the Trestolone will, of course, increase your estradiol levels. So you have 300 milligrams aromatizing compounds and only or aromatizable compounds, and only 125 milligrams DHB to limit the conversion, which is basically a little bit over. Excuse me. A little bit over 1/3 of what you're taking, right? That can aromatize. So I would say run Aromacin preventatively, do some blood work before to see where your estradiol levels are at. Then go on the cycle, 250 milligrams Sustanon, 125 milligrams DHB, and 50 milligrams Trestolone with daily microadministrations. And then 4 weeks into it, check your serum estradiol levels to see how much Aromacin you need to take, right? And keep some Nolvadex on hand just in case estradiol surges and you get full-blown gyno before you go in for blood work, right? So this is something you would need to keep an eye on. Keep your eye on that gyno, bro. Yeah, keep your big fat white eyes. Is he growing yet? Is he growing yet? Fucking need Nolvadex. All right. Make sure you have a blood work in place. Let's see. Did I forget something? Wando. Rudy. What's your opinion on Bromantane? Looks promising, but I haven't tried it yet. Sorry. I'll include it in the Entrepreneur Deep Dive video. What we're going to do is just do one nootropic at a time. Because, again, you know, this part 2 was 30 minutes per chapter, and there's like 4 chapters. So if I do a bromantane video, it's just a bromantane video, but I have no opinion on it, even though it does look promising. But it seems that it's a little bit difficult to source, right? Cosmic Nootropic doesn't carry it anymore. I don't think that Science Bio has it. I don't think that, what is it? Some of the other nootropic websites has it. So, don't have to plug it for me. I wouldn't be able to use it right now because I'm still trying to get my wife pregnant, so the experiments are paused, right? So, but I'll have an opinion on it when I get to that video, and then you'll get to watch that video for free. All right, where are we? My pleasure, buddy. Jackson, Coach Steve, our HRT doc is telling we can run hCG Pregnal year round. What are your thoughts on that? Especially the US can only prescribe 10K vials now. I feel like most might go to waste. Yeah, I think year round is fine. I mean, I've been using it for a year straight and it doesn't lose any effective. Fuck, man. It doesn't lose any effectiveness, right? My nuts are still full. My semen parameters are still stellar. My horniness is still off the scale. So, but I run Merck Ovitrel, recombinant hCG, not Pregnil hCG, which is urine purified hCG. So, I think you can run it year round, but if you start mixing in the Trembolone, the Nandrolone, or the Tristolone, which can deactivate, a testicular function through the progesterone receptor and the androgen receptor, and raising serum estradiol levels, so you get it through the estrogen receptors as well, then hCG is probably not going to work. If anything, it makes your testicles smaller, right? Especially on Trembolone. You add in the hCG, testicles grow up a little bit, then they get smaller. You're like, what the fuck? And you put more hCG in the picture, and then they get even smaller. It's just a clusterfuck. So if you're on TRT, I think year-round hCG is totally fine. And again, if you can't get it from your prescribing physician and it's too expensive, joke's on them. They're forcing you to source it on the underground scene. What is a man to do? You know? Or you just get a Dominican passport and you start paying taxes somewhere else and you tell them to go fuck themselves. You know? You can do that too. It's a little bit more cumbersome, right? But that's the ultimate fuck you to the government. Nice try. I don't agree. I'm going to live somewhere else and pay taxes somewhere else. See you later, right? And then if you want to take some hCG, you have all the finances to pay for it out of pocket. You know? And honestly, dude, hCG in the black market is way cheaper than $250 for 10,000 IUs. How can I super chat when the dollar sign not showing next to the chat box? I don't know. I've never super chatted anybody in my life. I've did super stickers though. I think I sent a couple people donation through PayPal. Yeah, but I don't know. How can I super chat when the dollar sign? Dude, I fucking don't know, man. Super chats are elusive to me. You know, sometimes it doesn't work, probably because you guys use some sort of keyword that's added to the spam filter. Guys, next week is the Boozers Vigors Q&A, right? Should we take a risk? Should I unblock everybody and remove all the words from the spam filter so we can have like, like the fucking craziest, legendary, no holds barred evening next weekend? Should I do that? It's very risky though. It's very risky though. You guys are not gonna like the answer to certain questions. Yeah, especially if I'm intoxicated. Then fuck all the limiters are off. Right, the decibels will go up until the point that you get deaf. So I'm not sure why the super chats are not working. VPN sometimes prevents super chatting. Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. Maybe your super chats are just too low. Maybe you should just do $10 or more. I don't know. Jackson, Coach Steve, congrats on 100K. You're the best. Thank you very much. I still have this unboxed, which I totally forgot to show last weekend, but I still remembered. I've been so busy, dude. Here, there you go. Look at that. Figure Steve for passing 100,000 subs. Fuck yeah, back in the box. Back in the box. You only get one of these, and the next goal is 1 million subs with the amount of swearing and drug content that I do. I doubt it. But you guys are willing to prove me wrong. I mean, if Psych Substance got to 2 million subs, right? So it is possible. Well, I think he's got 2 million subs. So yeah, if you talk about drugs, it has to be recreational drugs. Man, that's like an afterthought. Hugario. Thoughts on IGF-1-LR3. Ideal dose and time on and off. How can we decrease organ growth, prevent growth hormone gut? Smaller meals. Have you ever used Epitalon? Yeah, I've used Epitalon a couple times while fasting. But it's so hard to measure telomere length that I'm not even sure if it's working. So, and there's no test here in Thailand where you can check for telomere length. So, maybe later on when I get older, I'll run it more often, just as a preventative measure, right? But for now, I would say I think I look youthful enough. So, thoughts on IGF-1-LR3? Great if you can source Increlex, which is the large majority of the people. So let's not poke any fingers in it. No stabby comments, please. I think IGF-1-LR3 is great if your source is great. Right? Ideal dose is anywhere between 50 micrograms bilaterally up to 500 micrograms bilaterally. So that's a gram or a milligram, not a gram. Fuck, that would be way too much. 1 milligram IGF-1. No, wait a minute. Yeah, 1 milligram, right? Yeah, sheet. Yeah, it's 500 micrograms per side. Okay. So 1 milligram per day, up to 21 days, and then 1 week off. So you can do it on the calendar. You can do the first 21 days of the month on IGF-1-LR3. You find out your sweet spot. For most people, that's like 250 micrograms to 500 micrograms bilaterally. So that's double the dose, obviously, because you do 2 administrations. You do intramuscular administrations into the muscle group that you're going to train. And then you run that for 21 days off, 7 to 10 days, or 21 days on and 7 to 10 days off, right? And during your off days, if you want, you can crush your serum IGF-1 levels by taking some metformin, improve your insulin sensitivity, and then by the time you take IGF-1-LR3 again, or Increlex for that matter, or IGF-1-DES, then it seems to work a little bit more effectively, right? You take the metformin out, you replace that for IGF-1, a formula that you can get your hands on, and then you're pumped for days. So that seems to work the best. And of course, if you do IGF-1 formulas intramuscularly, it tends to go less systemic, albeit that will still go systemic, whether you do subcutaneous or intramuscular. But if you do intramuscular pre-workout, where a lot of the IGF-1 is utilized to increase the pump and let's see, nutrient partitioning, etc., then and you know you get some localized muscle growth, hypertrophy out of that, then it should technically, on paper, induce less organ growth. But of course, as the dose goes higher, more of this IGF-1 can go systemic. And if you combine it with growth hormone and insulin and a lot of foods and simple sugars, then yeah, the likelihood that you increase your organ weight or organ size or you know, visceral fat buildup becomes more likely, right? So you have to do everything right, basically. Live like a full-time bodybuilder, time your meals, eat right, do your injections, and practice your vacuums. And then I think it's, yeah, less likely to happen. Even then, in the off-season, your stomach is going to be big because you eat a lot of food. I test with AI and hCG or test with Primo and hCG. Well, the first option is a lot more cheaper because tests comparatively to Primo is cheaper. So you can run more growth hormone. Yeah, that's how you have to. Let's say you can spend $1,000 on your cycle. No, that's, let's see, an ampoule of tests is like $4, right? $5. Dude, I mean, I get the best results off the first option, but if money is not an option, then cosmetically you're going to look better on test and Primo plus hCG or growth hormone, right? So, yeah, but what is CHF? What is that? CHF. Oh. CHF to US dollars. Swiss franc. No, that said it's $2.30. So I think money is an option. Money is not money is a little bit of a problem for you based on the amount of super chats. Right? Just joking. I would go with high test in AI and growth hormone. Yeah. Yeah. I got a video on this. You know, let me link it down below in case you guys forgot. And I accidentally took 2,500 milligrams testosterone. That was the. Where is it? All right, got it. I'll link it down below. Give that video a watch. I think it's still one of my best cycles ever, dude. Give it a watch. All right, second from the top. Jesse R, how long can I run hCG before introducing SARMs for restoring HPTA? Does longer, shorter time make any difference? All the best. So if you plan to come off steroids completely, I would run hCG for a couple months. So you have normal testicular function at least, right? And then you take all the exogenous steroids out. You keep running the hCG. Maybe you go hCG solo for 6 to 8 weeks, let the exogenous steroids decline, right? I'm not entirely sure what steroids you're taking. So if you take Nandrolone, you might want to do, TRT for a year with hCG to kind of get used to that feeling and let all of the Nandrolone metabolites, clear from your system so they don't have a suppressive effect on your HPTA anymore. And same for Trembolone or other harsh compounds, right? Let all the metabolites clear your system. Stay on TRT and hCG at the same time till you have some normal testosterone levels and testicular function improves. Then you take the TRT out. You keep the hCG in for maybe 4 to 6 weeks. Then you take the hCG out, and then you can either start with SARMs from one day to the next. But if you want to let your serum estradiol levels decline so you don't have a negative feedback, even though you're taking SARMs by blocking the estrogen receptors, right? Then you start your SARMs then, the Clomid, Nolvadex, etc. All right, so it's a step-by-step process. I also have a video about that. Let me link it for you. PCT. Psychotherapy for dummies. Oh man, it looks so jacked in this one. Hilarious. All right, it's linked down below, bro. Would you change something in stack that you mentioned? Would you change something in the stack that I mentioned? Let me scroll up. Dorian. Yeah, I would do 250 milligrams cysteine and 250 milligrams of Primo. Duh. And added some growth hormone. Right? A DHB and mint sound very exciting on paper, but most people that I know that experiment with DHB and mint, they run it once or twice, and then they run away screaming because the post-injection pain is quite brutal. And the benefits that they get from DHB or mint solo or in combination is not anywhere more exciting than the benefits they would get from Primo or Trembolone, right? The tried and proven compounds, which have been used for decades now. So feel free to run the experiment, mate. I'm all for experimentation. Figure out a higher truth by yourself, and then ask yourself if you want to run that stack again. Right? Ask yourself, because I mean, it looks like a fine stack to me. If you're doing everything right, you will get results, regardless of the steroids that you use. Most of the steroids just give, a little bit of a unique characteristic, but in the end, it all boils down to the same fucking thing, dude. Right? It's just cosmetically, you look a little bit different. Rami I. All right, thank you. Thank you very much. I don't see a question. Ryan, are you doing stupid questions? Ryan, I'm not sure what you're on about. Where are we? Sultan Caesar, I saw your T3 and T4 video, but can you recap it for us again? Jesus Christ, go watch the video. Because I'm thinking about taking it sooner after I get my blood work done. No, just go watch the video. I can't recap that 30-minute video in 5 minutes. Go watch it again. What the fuck? You guys so fucking lazy. Here, thyroid. I'll link it down below. That's all I'm going to do for you, dude. Recap it again. Jesus Christ, man. 28 minutes. Take your iodine and selenium and come back in a month. And if you want to take your body thermometer, just stick it up your ass. Summarize it again. Get out of here, dude. Hey, Steve, how worried do we have to be about soy and phytoestrogens while on test? Honestly, I don't think it's that much of a difference unless you really hammer the soy and the phytoestrogens, obviously. It seems to be more problematic when you're drug-free, right? Because the phytoestrogens in soy can have some sort of negative effect on your HPTA by acting as an estrogen and thus lowering LH and FSH production. But, soy and phytoestrogens can also make you feel off, right? If they have some sort of estrogen-like effects, and your serum estradiol levels are already, somewhat normal or higher, then you get these increased estrogen burden. So I would recommend everybody to stay away from phytoestrogens or soy entirely, right? Don't be a soy boy, right? Don't be a beta male. And even if you're on testosterone, it just pays off to pay extra special attention to your health and make sure you get nutrients so you can build muscle and be cognitive and be masculine and all that good stuff. All right. So just stay away from it. And if you're a vegan, well, then I don't know, consider a career change. All right. Fire P. John, what effects on estrogen does Boldenone do? Anti-estrogen, suicidal estrogen, aromatase inhibitor, Jesus. So from everything that I was able to piece together, equipoise might metabolize either into methyl estradiol or esterone, and then when that's in the liver, and equipoise can act as an aromatase inhibitor because equipoise or the metabolized dihydroboldenone, right, ends up in the aromatase enzyme and temporarily blocks the conversion of testosterone into estradiol. It's not a suicidal aromatase inhibitor like aromacin or what is it? The other one? What is it called? It's no longer on the market. Never mind. So yeah, it's an anti-estrogen aromatase inhibitor by temporarily blocking the conversion of testosterone into estradiol. But since equipoise can also raise estrone levels, which can convert into estradiol, estradiol levels might still be elevated in some individuals, right, who have a lot of this enzyme that converts estrone into estradiol and vice versa. So right, you have to look into the total picture. Basically, anti-estrogens are SARMs, suicidal inhibitors are aromacin, and the other one that the name just eludes me somehow. And aromatase inhibitors are, basically DHT derivatives, and in this case, boldenone as well, or dihydroboldenone, which is a 5-alpha reduced boldenone derivative. People are willing to donate to get TL-Long DRE done, but do not want to do the research themselves. Well, I mean, watching a 30-minute video is not even doing the research, right? It's just sitting there and watching 30 minutes. I mean, if you don't have 30 minutes, I don't know. I really don't know if I fucking know, dude. The longer I do this, the more it baffles me, honestly. Oh, did you watch TMZ? Yeah, I did. Can you summarize the T4 and T3 for me? No, just watch something instead, dude. Just watch that video. I don't even remember. I'm working on steroid videos right now. I don't even remember what I said. At the time I remembered, but right now I don't exactly remember what I put in that video. So the best thing the guy can do is just to watch that video. And if you don't have 30 minutes to figure it out, then I mean, you must be really busy, dude. You must be really busy. Hamad. Does subcutaneous administrations long-term cause the skin to thicken and lose details in the muscle? It kind of depends on what you're injecting. So if you're injecting a carrier oil that's organic, castor oil, MCT oil, sesame seed oil, cottonseed oil, etc., then I don't think that it's going to lose detail in the muscle. But like Roman Fritz just mentioned, I mean, one of his buddies was just kind of systematically injecting in the sub-Q issue of his lower abs, and now he got a fat pouch, right? But of course, if you're smart, you start realizing that you have to rotate. And then when the fat pouch starts to occur or certain areas become thicker, then you would assume that you would rotate, right? So I think it's a grave mistake for that guy on his part. But yeah, I mean, it can thicken the skin, or at least around the time that the injection is absorbed. That's why most people would stop injections 7 days, 10 days before stepping on stage. And if you do step on stage and you still do subcutaneous administrations, which I don't think most people do, right? They still go with intramuscular administrations. But if you go sub-Q, then you would literally have to inject in between your butt cheeks, because that's the only place that's covered by your posing trunks. So, yeah, cumbersome. But I don't think you lose detail in the muscle. No. But to be fair, I've done cycles sub-Q entirely on my upper glutes. but I don't get shredded enough there to say that I lost definition, right? My lower glutes are separated, but my upper glutes are not because I still have a little bit of fat tissue there. And I did a boatload of intramuscular administrations there. So the muscle isn't as separated as it would be if I never did that, right? So it's hard to tell. Yeah, but you got to inject it somewhere. And wherever you inject, you're going to have to make some compromises and sacrifices. You will certainly lose definition, whether you do sub-Q or intramuscularly. Yeah. Sebastian, best way to start and process a cut, Kels or cardio? Best ways to start and progress a cut. Man, let me decipher that a little bit. Best way to start a cut. Okay. First, you take out the condiments of your house. Take all the condiments out, right? Clean out the cabinet so you don't feel needed to add in all the spices and stuff and sugars and the barbecue sauce and the ketchup. So you remove all the condiments, you go with dry spices that don't have any sugar or extra hidden calories. And then you add in the cardio, which you should be doing year round, you lazy fuck. I do it year round. So you should too, right? Of course, it doesn't, play out that way, but you should just do some cardio year round, man. So you keep the cardio in and you start cleaning up your diet and maybe you get some results from that as well. Right? And then you don't have to do anything crazy. You just add in a little bit of cardio, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, do a little bit of abs in the morning, take out the condiments, and you start losing fat. Easy, right? Easy peasy. And then, once that doesn't work anymore, you reduce the carbohydrates a little bit to compensate by increasing the protein slightly, and then you maybe increase the cardio. And you do this a couple times, to the point you're feeling that reducing the calories more would make you lose, training capacity, strength, workout performance. And then you either increase the anabolic steroids that you're taking or you add in the fat burners. I mean, it's very simple if you break it down like that. And all you have to do is adhere to these basic guidelines and not to look in the mirror like, oh, I'm flat, I need to go eat a boatload of pizza. No, you want it to be lean. Now suffer. Yeah, I've been dieting for a long time. I'm fucking lean. But I will show you middle of January. Yeah, I'll show you middle of January. First, I got to get this Christmas and New Year out of the way. Then a couple of weeks of cleaning up. In the middle of January, I've been off cycle for for basically a year. And then I'll show you guys what's possible if you just keep your head in the game. Yeah, and use a little bit of growth hormone. Right? So get it started step by step and make adjustments as you go along. Amadeo Corporation. I know you're not a fan, but would you say that adding hCG to a SARMs only cycle is any way beneficial? Yeah, that's what I mentioned in how to run SARMs safely. But again, it's with the editor. So it's been with the editor for 2 weeks, but he was working on the anabolic to androgenic rating video, which takes, days to edit. My cycle is RAD 140 and YK11 and enclomiphene. I've done cycles of each with okay blood work changes. Okay, so yeah, that would work. Right, a RAD 140 is a SARM, a YK11 is a steroidal SARM, and enclomiphene is a selective estrogen receptor modulator. It will work, but the scientific evidence on all three combined is less than 125 studies. It doesn't really make it sustainable. So, I mean, there's some clinical trials on RAD 140, none on YK11, and of course, a good amount of scientific evidence on enclomiphene. I think it's about 90 studies. So give those a read, right? Give those a read, and then convince yourself if it's sustainable or not. I don't think it's sustainable, the RAD 140 and the YK11 and enclomiphene. But the limited scientific evidence is very promising. Just like follistatin gene therapy, scientific evidence looks very, very promising. Made a video about that too. My editor's working on it. And even enclomiphene looks promising. But again, time will tell. And if there's an alternative, why don't you go with the tried and proven alternative over something that's experimental? And again, I'm not against using experimental compounds like 5-amino-1-MQ and all these other stuff because there's no alternative. You can't replace it with anything else. But enclomiphene you can replace with hCG, YK11 you can replace with Trenbolone, and RAD 140 you can replace with testosterone or any other steroid. that acts through the androgen receptor as well. So, and then you have a lot of scientific evidence to make proper decisions with. So in this context, RAD 140, YK11, and hCG, yeah, it would work. I've seen the blood work. It will work. Right. So at least you're, you got your gateway injection in place. Right. First, you do the oral only cycle, RAD 140, YK11, and enclomiphene, all orals. And now you take the enclomiphene out, you add in the hCG, and you suddenly realize that subcutaneous microadministration's big fucking deal. It'll be 2 months before you're on test. 2 months maximum. You're like, fuck, this is so fucking easy. I can just inject my testosterone subcutaneously. And then you do testosterone with hCG and RAD 140 and YK11. And then you realize that adding in Primo or Trembolone or any other steroid for that matter gives you better gains. And your blood work parameters are probably better for the same amount of milligrams and gains that you're getting. So, yeah. Welcome to the club soon, Amadeo. YKQ45. After stopping gear and TRT, my concern is low cortisol levels on blood work. Any advice on why it's low and how to raise it without taking hydrocortisone? Cortisol is a moment in time, right? Do you experience any low or effect like adrenal fatigue, right? A lack of norepinephrine and adrenaline response, sleepiness throughout the day, right? If you're experiencing all of that, then there might be a concern, but there might be more overlapping going on, right? Maybe you need to do a Dutch saliva test to see where your neurosteroids metabolites are at, right? So I can't really do much with this, honestly, right? It could be a multitude of different causes. And I don't see a reason why you would ever want to raise your cortisol levels unless you have a medical need to. And since I am not qualified to diagnose you medically, right, discuss it with a doctor. So, yeah, I'm not really sure, buddy. Colin, do you notice poor absorption of meds and supplements with GLP-1s? Got severe anhedonia on tirzepatide because DHEA and pregnenolone absorption was poor on TRT. No, I don't experience that at all when I was running tirzepatide or semaglutide or liraglutide. Maybe it's because I take apple cider vinegar with each meal, and I don't take very high dosages, right? The recommended dosages that they use in the medical field, way too fucking high. Way too fucking high. Like a low dose of liraglutide, semaglutide, and tirzepatide goes a very long way. And if you keep the dose low and you can still eat, right, it's not blunting your appetite to the point you can't even eat or digest anything, then I don't think it's going to be a problem. And otherwise, take something with it to increase your stomach acidity, like apple cider vinegar or betaine hydrochloride, right? I mean, I'm sure it will help you with the digestion of DHA and pregnenolone. And otherwise, take the DHA and pregnenolone on an empty stomach, give it like 30 minutes to absorb, and then eat your meal, right? So I think the poor food absorption is just when you overdo the GLP-1s, right? I mean, 0.5 milligram of tirzepatide, up to 1 milligram tirzepatide 3 times per week, more than enough, dude. 1/4 milligram, 0.5 milligram semaglutide 3 times a week, more than enough. 0.6 to 1.2 milligrams liraglutide per day, more than enough. Right? Then you skip on Sundays so you can actually eat. And what they use medically, like, what was it, 5 milligrams semaglutide once a week? Semaglutide dose increments. Why can't I find it? Oh, 2 milligrams a week. Okay, that's not too bad. 2.4 milligrams per week. People were running like 15 milligrams or something. Semaglutide dosage. Oh, it's going to take forever. Subcutaneous. Okay. Maximum dose, 1 milligram per week. I thought it went up to like way higher. I know. Probably have to do some more research. All right. So if you're not absorbing it right, take it on an empty stomach. Maybe take some apple cider vinegar, and then it should absorb just normally. And if you're getting anhedonia, it's probably from the lack of calories from longer periods of time, not just the DHA and pregnenolone. Yeah. I also feel a little bit numb when I've been dieting for a very long time. and my DHA and pregnenolone levels are perfectly normal. Add Mark, why do orals crush HDL so much compared to injectable? Well, injectable have an ester attachment, so it has a much longer half-life. And injectable steroids, they don't really pass the liver twice. Maybe once, but not twice. So when you take oral steroids, it crushes the HDL more because there's a lipase enzyme that breaks down HDL in the liver. And I think if you take oral steroids, this lipase enzyme is upregulated and thus you break down more HDL molecules and less are available in serum. Yeah, so that's basically it. Thoughts on science-based lifters? I mean, they change their minds all the time. Study of the week. Oh, gotta change my mind now. Yeah, this study shows that I have to do weighted stretches, and dude, Dante Trudell's been talking about that shit forever, and it was bro science until a scientific study came out, and now everybody's doing it. I mean, I'll say it again: science-based, whether those are lifters or people in the steroid education space, guys that are purely science-based lack experience. Lack fucking experience. No real world practical applications, right? They hide behind scientific evidence because they have no real world practical applications. Real men with practical real world practical application, they use the scientific evidence but don't hide behind it, right? You can use the scientific evidence to prove a point, right? I do this because of this reason, and the scientific evidence here shows that it might be beneficial for this and this reason. But in the same context, a real man also reviews all of the scientific literature and highlights when another study shows that there might be a negative effect of doing something for a particular reason, right? So this is why I always include all of the scientific evidence, not just one study, right? The guys who use one study or an abstract, fucking pathetic. Really, fucking pathetic. And the guys that constantly change their minds because a new study shows XYZ, fucking pathetic. Really. Really, fucking pathetic. All right? Your experience will determine which road to follow. And if you have no experience, okay, use scientific evidence, it's fine. Maybe at one point you'll get there. But if you keep hiding behind it, then you will never get there. All right, so that's why I always do it my way. And if I want to interpret the scientific evidence, I'll do it myself and not rely on anybody else to do it for me. Because in many cases, they grossly misunderstand the scientific evidence anyway. And as you guys see, I'm poking holes left and right into these studies validly. And you see how much of the scientific community is full of shit anyway. All right? So, take it all with a grain of salt, man. In the end, you have to do what's best for you. So if the science goes against it, but you get results lifting a certain way, you have my 100% support. You have my 100% support. I don't give a fuck what the scientific evidence says. If you have a good workout and you get results and all of your connective tissue is intact, right? You're not breaking your body in half. Go for it, dude. Fucking go for it. Have fun. Training is supposed to be fun. You're not supposed to go to the gym with 25 studies in the back of your head. Oh, I got to execute it this way. You're not having fun, dude. All these guys are close to suicide. Trust me. These guys are fucking miserable training like that, right? They're all... Really? Well, whatever. I hope that answers your question. Look, no question here, Steve. Just wanted to say thank you for all that you do. You can't imagine how much info you has allowed me to take control of my health. Fuck yeah, Luke. That's what I want to hear. That's what we do it for. Nice work. And plenty more videos along the way. So you're in for a wild ride in 2024. For sure. All right, next one. Angrata Occult. If you had to pick one ingredient from Respawn as your favorite nootropic, which one would it be? A uridine 5-monophosphate. 100%. Yeah, uridine 5-monophosphate. I love that shit. I mean, it's so versatile. So versatile. It's I like it. I like it a lot. It gives you motivation, gives you cognition, gives you focus. It's so much more than the choline the uridine contribution. Jesus Christ, sometimes these words elude me, man. So much more than the uridine contribution or the choline increase that you get downstream, right? Uridine 5-monophosphate. Yeah. But if I had a favorite nootropic, it would be still like modafinil. Yeah, still like modafinil. It's just 50 milligrams. And then the end of the day, holy shit, look at all the shit I got done today. Yeah. Not that it makes you more inspired or it gets you to connect to a part of your brain, but if you take modafinil in combination with, the Gorilla Mind Respawn and some injectable L-carnitine, I mean, creativity for days, dude. Creativity for days. Here, tirzepatide max dose 15 milligrams. Of course, you're not absorbing anything. We got a couple members. Did I forget some member questions? All right. See, so many super chats, guys. Let's answer this one. Fitness, Masteron versus Primo on or off season. What's your opinion? Are they interchangeable? Now, I think that Primo Bolden is superior to Masteron for muscle building purposes, or at least what I see in most people that they're running Primo at the comparable dose, that they're much fuller. I would say that you get similar suppression in estradiol levels, so you still need a testosterone base. So, but there are guys that swear with Masteron. There's a whole surgeons of people that like Masteron. They're all bald and they all look like gravestones. What can I say? I like the guys that look that run Primo. They look healthy and happy-go-lucky and they're full and round and hard. So I'm the Primo crowd. But if you want to run Masteron because it's cheaper, go right ahead, dude. I don't care. I don't care what you run. Run what is best and cheapest for you, right? Run what's affordable. So in the off season, I would go with Test and Primo and GH and Insulin and Increlex or IGF-1-LR3. And but if that's not your shtick, then you go with Masteron instead, right? I mean, there's multiple ways of to skin the cat. They're not entirely interchangeable, only with relation to the inhibition of aromatization, right? But I feel that the fullness and the muscle gain and the overall cosmetic appeal of Primo Bolden far superior than Masteron. And otherwise, why would I be running Primo Bolden at high dosages and not Masteron, right? Of course, I would spend less money on Masteron Enethate then. Save some money. I mean, I love to save money. All right, here we go. Alex Carrera, semaglutide starts at 0.25 milligrams and titrates up. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it starts up. So I think that 0.25 milligrams, 3 times per week is a sustainable dose. But if you need to start there once per week, go right ahead. Why is Primo better than Masteron when we talk about looking young when on steroids? Didn't I just answer that? I don't know. Like, with Masteron, it seems that all these guys that run it at high dosages, they look fucking oxidized. And I'm not going to name any names, but you can clearly see it. Like, listen, this is no hair, right? This is real hair, not fucking the micropigmentation. This is real hair. I shave it by choice. But these guys that run high Masteron, they're bald up until here, right? They literally look like Vegeta, like that. And then their skin looks fucking oxidized, like they've been smoking cigarettes the entire time. And the guys who run high dosages of Primo don't seem to look like that. They might still be balding because it's a DHT derivative, but Primo Bolden for the skin, I mean, it's called Primo Bolden for a reason. Dude, Prima Bella, it's in the name. I think drostanolone just makes you look aged. Right? And if you need to run it because you're in a contest prep, okay, fine. There's something to win. But you still look fucking old. You still look like a smoker. All right? So I would go with Primo Bolden, man. Low dose test, low dose Primo Bolden, add a little bit of growth hormone for a little bit of fullness, fill in the wrinkles, and then you look good. Man, I see so many 40 years old who hammer gear and they look fucking haggard. They look fucking haggard, And even when I was hammering gear, I did look fucking haggard, unless I was really overtrained. So, yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, there's so many drugs to choose from. Just take the ones that actually make you look and feel good. How do you find the correct dose of telmisartan? Blood pressure. Okay, so you get a blood pressure monitor, Omron 7. I'll always link it down below. You can buy it on Amazon for like 50, 60 bucks. So you get an Omron 7. It's not super accurate, but it's accurate enough. You keep a log of your blood pressure. for a week, right? At various times during the day, when you wake up, pre-workout, post-workout, before you go to bed. Then you add in 20 milligrams of telmisartan and you see how your blood pressure readings over the week change, right? 20 milligrams of telmisartan upon waking. Then decide if you need to go to 40 milligrams after a week, right? Keep track of your blood pressure for another week, and then you can increase if needed. So you need a device to keep track of your blood pressure, and you need a medication that you'll incrementally build up as your blood pressure becomes more manageable, but is still unfavorable, and thus you need to escalate the dose upwards. All right. Buskar, coming to Thailand tomorrow. Oh man, you're coming in right in high season, dude. So many people here right now. Fuck me. Yeah, but you'll have fun. Yeah, good luck fighting off all the girls at the entertainment areas. Apparently, there's a boatload of them. So since Uncle Steve is out of commission in that department, make sure you bang a couple for me too. Okay? Thank you. Yaya Dugnoko. Any thoughts on oral semaglutide, Rybelsus? I've been on 14 milligrams a day for 1 week and no effect yet. Pharmagrade from Novo Nordisk. Yeah, the oral semaglutide and the oral exenatide doesn't really seem to do much. That's why I never really covered it. So I would go with the injectable version and start at 0.25 milligrams once a week, up to 3 times a week, and then build it up from there. You know, I mean, they're supposedly orally bioavailable, but if 14 milligrams per day is not doing anything, and if you're switching to 0.25 milligrams once per week, and you do get an appetite suppressing effect, then that's one hell of a difference in a milligram dose, right? So that's, yeah, I would go with the injectable version. Edward Piper, BBC 157 worth it beyond injury recovery? No, I don't think that it has any preventative properties, right? Even if you train harder and you take BPC 157 or TB 500 combined, I don't think it's going to do anything for recovery beyond the steroids and the growth hormone or whatever else that you're taking. I would only use these when there's an injury or you have some nagging pain or whatever, some inflammation, right? I mean, TB 500 is pretty good as an anti-inflammatory compound, and a BPC 157 is very good for healing. So you put both together when you have an injury or some nagging pain, and then within 4 to 6 weeks, it's gone. You know, unless you keep straining it, you also need to take rest, right? You need to take rest in order for everything to heal. How's the retarded? What a name, dude. Retatrutide. Retatrutide. It was great, but I only ran it in the US at 1 milligram 3 times per week. So I ran it for about 3 weeks. And I felt that my blood glucose levels were a little bit elevated at certain periods of time. And that my urine smelled like glucose also. But I also ate like, well, an asshole in the US, right? And even though I modified all my meals, by the time I came back, my lipid parameters were fucked. And my serum reactive protein was 11 milligrams per liter. Yeah. So even though I did take retatrutide and I ate quite conservatively, I didn't gain so much body fat, but my metabolic markers were kind of skewed from the American food. At least I didn't get fat. So I would like to run it again in the future, albeit that it's very difficult to source right now because lobbyists, right? But I think it was promising. I mean, based on how well I modified my orders and how my food selection was while running retatrutide, I would say that it's very effective, but I didn't lose any fat on it. I didn't lose any body fat on it because obviously when you eat outside a Cheesecake Factory 3 times a week and Denny's and you know, whatever else you can find, then yeah, what do you expect, you know? Right, and restaurants and stuff. So yeah, too many diners. Yeah, maybe I can get over my cheesecake fix after Cheesecake Factory opened here in Thailand, so I can just go maybe once a month, and then by the time I go to the United States next year, then I'm like, okay, I've had enough. I'm done. I'm just gonna go to the places that you guys recommend, and not end up at these disgusting diners all the time. What could cause low uric acid when all the other kidney markers are normal? Have always been like this in my blood test since I started doing them 5 years ago. Don't know if it's normal. It just means that you are, normally hydrated, or you don't consume high purine foods, right? And of course, there's whole lists of purine foods. So, you know, simple Google purine-rich foods. My diet in gout. Just type it in. I'm not going to link all these websites because I'd have to vet them first. But yeah, look into your purine intake and look into your water intake, and that's very likely the reason why your uric acid levels are this low. I don't think it's problematic at all. I don't think it's a bad thing. Oscar, what causes high eosinophils? On my differential leukocyte count is 9.3, range is 1 to 6. What would your eosinophil count? Is your eosinophils 9%? Okay, so your eosinophil is 9%. Okay, right. So white blood cell count. Yeah, okay, got it. It's usually from the injections, right? If you do a lot of injections, typically you see that eosinophils goes up, and maybe the injections are somewhat sterile, but it could be that you have a little bit of contaminants, some bacteria or some pollutants or whatever. I've seen it on my blood work too, where eosinophils just goes to 6 or 7% for a while, and then take a particular compound out, and then it's back to normal again. So if you're taking something from the gray area market that is produced in China, then maybe that's the reason. Maybe you need to take all those exotic peptides out, purely stick to pharmaceuticals, and then see if your eosinophils come down, because there might be a slight allergic or bacterial response, right, that you're making. And of course, if you do in a very extreme cycle with like 10 injections per day, then even if you do everything pharmaceutical grade, simply because you're piercing the skin so many times and administering all kinds of foreign compounds into your body, then eosinophils will also come up as part of the immune system response. So it's just part of the game. All right. Let's see if I missed some member questions. 116 people in the chat. Do we have 116 likes though? Probably not, right? Oh, we have 30 likes. Oh my God. Well, now we have 31. I like my own shit. All right, where are we? Let's not waste the bandwidth on that. Okay. Scroll down a bit. No question. Just want to say thank you, Coach. Appreciate all the help and knowledge you share. Double thumbs up. Man, everybody's so generous today. Yeah, a lot of super chats just saying thanks. I mean, it's the end of the year, right? So it's good to say thanks. And this is the closest I will get to a Christmas present from you guys. So, yeah, by all means, keep those super chats going. So I can afford to take my wife out to dinner again. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, my wife loves dinners. Yeah. First we eat out, and then I eat out. Know what I'm saying? XMR is better than Bitcoin. Oh, come on, dude. Just buy both, but trade accordingly. Where are we now? Every time somebody brings up Bitcoin, I feel inclined to watch the charts. All right, Binance. What is Binance saying? 34,800. Well, let's see if we can break through 44,000 and shoot up to 48,000, so I can take my fucking profits. I would like to take some profits again. Yeah. It would be nice if it's before the end of the year, but I doubt it. I think next week a lot of the big money is celebrating Christmas and not watching the charts. But this is cryptocurrency, right? You can always be surprised. How bad the price in Thailand goes up? I mean, the currency fluctuations are pretty big, right? With the dollar going up to what, 38 baht for the dollar, and now it's what, 34, right? So you have the currency fluctuation there between the US dollars, which is the main world currency, and then the Thai baht. I think prices are just slowly, steadily coming up with like 3 to 5% per year, right? But I mean, I don't really spend much, to be honest. I'm a good earner, but I'm a horrible spender, you know? So once in a while I go on holiday and I spend like a fucking asshole. But here in Thailand, I don't really spend that much money, you know? So I don't really notice much. Yeah, I mean, my quality of life is good. You know, I spend maybe a couple $1,000s per month, you know, and that's all including everything, and everything else that I make is just, you know, into assets. So I can't say that I noticed that the prices have gone up substantially here in Thailand. But when foreigners come here, they might notice it from year to year, right? So, oh, last year this restaurant was 250 baht per dish, and now it's 275 or 300 baht, right? So you might notice that. And of course, that's an increase of what, 20%. Is it 20%? Yeah, let's say 20%. So that is noticeable. But yeah, I mean, if you go out once a week and you eat moderately, you know, I mean, it's not like I have expensive 5-star gourmet buffet dinners every fucking week. Then you don't really notice it. You know, the bills of me are like 1,000 baht, 1,200 baht per time, and that's me and my wife. And then sometimes we eat for 1,800 baht, and it's $50, $60 in total. It's not that crazy, you know. So yeah, I mean, the prices are up, I'm sure. But it's doable. Still a good place to spend money. Yeah. Let's see, where are we? Oh, Alex. Alex, you're a member. You don't need to do this. But thank you anyway. Thank you anyway. Thanks for all the information and help. My pleasure. Alex Carrera is the token female in here who looks absolutely fucking fantastic based on her picture. So thank you very much for the $20 that goes into the Gordon Ramsay hamburger fund, right? If you know, you know. So yeah, but I'll probably spend it. No, actually, the hotel buffet is a little bit more expensive next weekend, but I'll probably be able to get myself something nice for this. Thank you so much, guys, for all your donations. It goes a long way. It goes a very long way. Because at the end of the month, when you do your finances, then yeah, the YouTube revenue is pretty good. Not great. It's not more plates, more dates great, but it's great nonetheless. Thank you, Alex. Steve, I love your videos and I've learned so much for you. I was wondering where your accent is from. I'm Dutch. I'm from Holland, dude. Yeah, I'm from Holland. That's a Dutch accent, but it's not as bad as Wesley Vissers, right? Wesley Vissers talks with more of a Dutch accent than I do. But to be fair, I've been living abroad for 17 years in Thailand, and I've traveled all over Asia, and well, I've basically been to most of the continents now, besides Africa and Australia and Antarctica. So that's well, quite half the continents then. So, yeah, I'm from Holland originally, but I don't identify as Dutch anymore, especially not now that the guy that they put into a position of prime minister. Fuck, dude. Well, let's not get political. Let's not get political. All right, let's see. What else we got? Are we running out of questions? We're running out of questions. I don't mind putting a lid on it today. It's been a long day, man. I've had consultations and I recorded the carrier oil deep dive video, which was, well, you'll never look at steroids the same. Let's see. Thank you for me as well. I'm not a bodybuilder, but your nootropic and endurance content have been very enjoyable for me. Okay, finally somebody who enjoyed those videos. A grata occult. Thank you very much. I'm happy to hear that. Yeah, I was surprised that the endurance deep dive didn't really go far, but it seems that the nootropics and the entrepreneurial stuff is really going somewhere, so I feel more motivated to make videos about that. And again, once I have more stuff with my editor, right, so he basically doesn't have to take any breaks anymore because we were a little bit on and off the last couple of months or the last couple of weeks because I was in the United States and then he had holidays. So I just want to have a boatload of videos ready for him to edit. And then I'll just do more endurance stuff like an MMA specific stack and a boxing specific stack and that kind of stuff. But that's just in the pipeline. I just want to get through these pretty heavy videos first, right? And then I can make videos that I can edit myself in the meantime. All right, we're on the thank you train now. Thanks for everything, Steve. It was a good day today. All right. My pleasure, Iron Grid. Thank you for your donation. Much appreciated. Mike Hart, ever met Bas Rutten? No, but I've met Raymond Boyaski a couple times in the gym. Yeah, but Bas Rutten I never met. No. No. Alex Career, nootropics, endurance, and mitochondrial videos are my favorite. So much great information. Okay, happy to hear that. Happy to hear that people are still watching them. Yeah, all I see is the comments and the views, right? So if I get less of a response, then I feel less inclined to make more because the laundry list of to do videos is always long, right? But the endurance deep dive is pretty much done. I don't think it's necessary to make a separate video about how to reduce inflammation in the context of increasing endurance because it's talking about glucocorticoid steroids and stuff. And all the stimulants I'm going to discuss in the nootropics deep dive anyway. So those will be addressed at one point or another, right? So stay tuned for more. Iron Grid, I would send more, but I went broke buying booze and buying gifts for the fam. Yeah, man, it's Christmas time. I don't expect anybody to dish out any more money. But considering it was a mini gift for me, seriously, you got me healthy for and being here is fun. Okay, awesome. Happy to hear that. And again, every donation helps, dude. You put it all together at the end of the month, and it's actually pretty fucking sweet. So I hope you guys have an awesome Christmas yourself, right? And save some money for your family, who are way more important than donating money to me. Let's be honest. Right? I'm just some random dude off the internet that answers drug questions. I mean, family is what Christmas is all about, right? Buskar, does Anavar reduce estradiol levels? Not to my awareness. I've never seen that directly on blood work. Got my AST up to 143 units per liter and ALT up to 177. I think due to the Anavar. I think that's another steroid that you were taking. Can 2 injections of 600 milligrams glutathione somewhat fix it before I have a vacation tomorrow? It would help. But yeah, 2 injections of 600 milligrams of glutathione, that's 4 cc per butt cheek. And that's one hell of a flight. That's one hell of a flight to Thailand with 8 cc's of glutathione in your butthole. When you arrive here in Thailand, Jesus. What the hell? Fucking burps. So when you arrive here in Thailand, look for Ursolin. I'll link it down below. Ursolin Atka. Ursodiol. Is it the one? These websites are all in Thai. Fucking hell. Images. There it is. There it is. Let me see if I can link this. Asian now. Open a new tab. All right, here. I'll link it down below. This is pharmaceutical Atka. Tatka is not available here. It's on the Asian Now website. This is Ursolin. And just show this picture to the pharmacy when you come here in Thailand. They sell it over the counter everywhere. It's about 1,000 baht. And then you take 1,000 milligrams of this every single day on top of the glutathione that you were injecting before you came here. And then, yeah, unfortunately, one of our Anavars no longer being produced here. But some other Anavar that is produced in India is actually okay. Yeah, it's actually okay. We're not going to mention the name. Oh, okay. Here we go. Already on ursodeoxycholic acid, 300 milligrams with first and last meal already. Okay. Yeah. Then the Anavar that you were taking was definitely Superdrol or something else. So you might want to consider buying some Indian-made Anavar here. And again, I would never touch the injectables of these Indian-made steroids, as we'll mention in the carrier oil deep dive video. But the orals are actually quite on point. Yeah. You are our Uncle Steve. Yeah, Uncle Steve, the online steroid daddy. That's what I am. Yeah. Alvaro, what's up? Happy holidays to you and the Vigorous crew. Happy holidays, buddy. Good to see you pop in. Did Paul Burnett finish already? I guess so. Alvaro got himself a job at all the big steroid YouTube channels now. He does timestamps for everybody, right? This guy's smart. He got himself a part-time job. Smart, dude. I'll make your timestamp, sure. Right, and then make for another channel, another channel, another channel. So this is the entrepreneurship that I like to see. Right, you just fucking hustle, make more money. All right, where are we? Mm-mm. Uh, maybe it's Winstrol. Yeah, but Winstrol even then wouldn't raise your liver enzymes that much. I would rather suspect Superdrol or you have biliary obstruction, right? And the bile acid isn't really flowing into your intestinal tract, and all the liver enzymes are remaining behind in your bloodstream. Right? You can do ultrasounds here on the abdomen for like 1,000 baht. So, right, I mentioned that in the Thailand survival guide video. All the places to do blood work is in the description section of the Thailand survival guide. There you go. That's the spirit. I have some time to spare, so I'd rather make some extra cash than play video games. Dude, if everybody had your mentality, you know how good the economy would be right now? Well, people would just rather be lazy. Yeah. I don't know why I don't have money. Because you're fucking lazy, dude. Ferraro's getting paid. He's making a good amount of extra money every month doing timestamps for everybody. And he's probably using AI to do it too. So he's even more smart. Are you using AI, Alvaro? Spill the beans. It's the end of the year. Come on, be honest. Are you using AI? I'm paying you to use AI. It'd be so funny. This is the Tammy AI timestamps by Alvaro JD. I would not fucking blame you, dude. No AI. Okay. They use the real deal, right? No CGI in this video. Rudy, are you aware of libido issues due to low DHT while simultaneously E2 estradiol and T levels are normal and high? Yeah, everybody's aware of that. It's called post-finasteride syndrome. Of course, the DHT is so important. I don't understand why all these guys go on finasteride. And Keeps is a fucking criminal for just advertising left and right. Oh, you have hair loss? Talk to one of our guys and we'll prescribe you finasteride. Dude, all these guys have a non-functioning dick now, thanks to Keeps. So Keeps should be called Flaccid. That's the real name of that company, Flaccid. So, low DHT only happens when you take 5-alpha reductase inhibitor in form of finasteride, dutasteride, or some of the other ones that are available. I don't think that it really happens with Solpalmedar or Pygium, right? Or reishi mushroom extract. They might lower DHT to a certain level, but not to the point that your dick doesn't come up anymore. So we're very aware of low libido issues. That's why I made that video post-finasteride syndrome, right? Which I'll link down below. Post-finasteride syndrome. Man, the thumbnail's legendary. Let's see. 5th from the top. Give that one a watch. The cure is within. Uh-oh. Pondo, let's all go Dutch and getting Steve a Christmas gift. Now, let's save it for next weekend. Save it for next weekend, guys. Next weekend, we're going to have a blast, okay? The Boozers Q&A. Bring your whiskey, bring your cigars. I'll move the entire setup outside. Yeah, I'll spray myself down with mosquito spray. And then we'll have the 2 street cats just probably on my lap. Because I'll be sitting in the same position for 2.5 hours, right? And I'll hook everything up with, LAN cables and, proper electricity. We'll do it outside. The background will be shit. But I can smoke cigars carefree because the last time I smoked a cigar in this room smelled for 2 fucking months. So I'm going to do it outside. And then I hope you guys can all join me. We'll remove the spam filter and we'll remove all the keywords and all the blocked users. And then, if I get really drunk, let's do some call-ins too. Right? Let's make it epic. Let's make it fucking epic next weekend. Yeah. Yeah. Let's have fun. Let's have some fun. We'll do some call-ins too. Yeah, but you only get the call-in if you have a cigar and a glass of fucking whiskey in your hand. Because I don't deal with, if you want to drink lager or something, you're not going to get on my podcast. Caleb, ever seen blood work on Stembolone and Oxabolone? No, unfortunately, no. I've talked to people who've used Stembolone, never Oxabolone. but I've never seen blood work on any of those. Can you walk me through growth hormone test? Do I use intravenous 5 minutes before the test? Okay, so well, here we go. There we go. Bicep. You have a vein here. You see that one? This one right here, right? So you go tie this off. This vein will bulge like it is now. And then you IV 2 IU's growth hormone right in there, right? You have to make sure that the bevel is up, pointing up. And of course, you can find videos about this, about how to do IV administrations on YouTube, right? It goes right in here. You do that with one hand. Then you, if you want to, you can draw with your thumb, but in most cases you will feel that it's in, right? But if you're doing this the first time, fuck, I'm doing IV administrations now live on. Well, you pay $20, so you get what you pay for. Yeah, so you aspirate if this is your first time, and then you slowly press it in, right? Of course, it's all at a proper angle. And if you're doing a blood work analysis, if you have $20 to spare, just do the $20 trick. It works in Las Vegas. It works for me, and it will probably work for the nurse as well. So you can just close your hands and let the nurse do it for you. All right? Just said, please IV this. And she'll and then slip her $20, no questions asked. Right? It's growth hormone. Or draw it in front of them. You know, you bring your Norditropin pen or your Genotropin pen or your Serranos or your whatever else, right? Your Omnitropes. Draw it in front. Like take the 2 IUs out, depending on the concentration. It depends, you know, how many IUs you need to draw. Draw that 2 IUs. Ask them, hey, please do this for me. Here's $20. Go to town, and then draw your blood work 5 minutes later on the other side, right? And it's pretty simple, actually. Yeah, it's pretty simple. So good luck. After you've done it, please report back and let us know your nanograms per milliliter on your serum growth hormone test. I'm pretty sure it's going to be 100 or more. Relentless. Tips for big, ugly hips on a male bodybuilder. No, grow your quads more so it kind of fills out the hips, and do more vacuum so the hips and the bulging quads look more pronounced. I don't know. I mean, bodybuilders are kind of ugly anyway, so just play into it. I mean, on stage, bodybuilders look great, but most of the off season, walking around the gym, I mean, we kind of look sloppy, you know? So, dude, if you have big hips, put them to work. Put them to work in patio, right? If you have big hips, you have a lot of pushing power, right? Put those hips to work, man. Do a lot of hip thrusts, right? Do a lot of kickbacks, grow your glutes, do a lot of deep squats, grow your quads out, and then you know, make sure it's all flaring and advertise it properly in patio, and then I'm sure you'll get some response. Goat Ninja, how's the cigar availability where you are? I know, limited. I feel that the importation taxes and the markup is fucking crazy. So I import all of my cigars from Holland. Let me give them a plug. But you have to contact them directly. Let's see. Casa del Habano. Can't find their website. Anyway, it's a La Casa del Habano in Amsterdam. What's their website? So you just contact them and they send it right away. You know, and of course, if you live in the United States, then it might be difficult to import those Cubans. Yeah, so it kind of sucks that way. But I order everything online, man. And then when I went to the United States, I went to the 8 Lounge in what is it called? Man, one of the resorts where the Mr. Olympia is going to be this year. And there I stocked up on another 15 cigars. So when I travel, I buy more, and otherwise I asked them to send me over some, you know, packaged up nicely in some, something else. Let's put it that way. And then it passes right through. Yeah, don't have to pay import taxes. So cigar availability here is okay. There's a very good cigar lounge in Patty. I'll link that one. Let me see. Maps. This is probably the best cigar lounge in Thailand. I might have to cigar. I went to here with the Aaron a while back. I think it was called like Prestige or something. Cigar Lounge or Gentleman's Club. Empire Luxury Private Club. There we go. Share link. This is probably the best cigar lounge in Thailand, or at least the one that I've been to. And that has also a very good selection of cigars. So if you're coming in Thailand and you want to inquire about that, second floor, use some sort of silver elevator to get up there. They have a great cigar lounge. And this is one of the few places where they have that whiskey that is so stupid expensive that you would pay like a couple $1,000s for a bottle, but you can also do it by glass. So if you want to spend $200 on a glass of whiskey, this is the place to do it. Not that I ever have. Right? I have limitations. I had $200 on a bottle of whiskey, okay, but not on a glass of whiskey. That's fucking insane. But this place has probably the best selection of whiskeys and cigars that you'll find anywhere in Thailand, besides maybe some exclusive 5-star hotels. And trust me, I've been to all the cigar lounges in all the 5-star hotels, and they don't come anywhere close to the Empire Luxury Private Club. Yeah. Yeah, I spent zero money there because Aaron Burke took me out. Yeah, so I have no idea how much money he spent, but it was fucking good. Forgot to add, also as a growth hormone natty. What? Wait a minute. Oh, here, we're missing a question. What is the best time for growth hormone and an IGF-1 blood test cut versus off-season? Just in the morning, right? It's just, you have to test it in the morning because then you don't have anything to interfere with growth hormone readings, right? Because, what was it? Choline? Man, what nutrient interfered with growth hormone levels? Was it choline or betaine? Also, is it in the growth hormone? Oh, you want to test your growth hormone and natty levels? Okay, yeah, in the morning. Yeah, in the morning. Wake up, drink some water, and go test it. Yeah, that's the best one. Let's see. Oh, we've been here for 2.5 hours already. Holy moly! Of course, here we go again every week. How's the baby making going? Stay tuned. Stay tuned. When we're ready to talk about it, we'll tell you guys. Make sure that stuff is sent by private mail, not FedEx, etc. Yes, yes. FedEx in Thailand, that's guaranteed import taxes. Those guys are fucking crooks. They'll hold everything. Let's see. All right, you've been asking this question like a million times, so now you're in timeout. Caleb, thank you, Coach. You've provided so much information and research on the YouTube for this community. Again, my pleasure. You have haters. Mike Hart asked, do we have haters? I think there's a couple ones. Yeah, they try to charge me rent because I occupy their minds 24/7. I feel like haters are inevitable when you put yourself out there. I only have 2K subs, and even I have them. You know, look at it this way. Like, haters, again, are inevitable. That success is offensive. So when you're becoming popular or people are starting to talk about you, there will be some people who are adverse to that. And that's just part of life. I mean, when you went to high school, right, there were a couple kids in your classroom who didn't like you also. And when you go work somewhere, there's probably a couple colleagues who don't like you also. Now, of course, in the classroom and colleagues are face to face, right? So there's a little bit of a barrier. But online, there's no barrier. So everybody talks shit online. It's easy, right? Until you meet face to face in the real world. And then there might be an altercation, especially if shit talking happens over and over and over again, right? Especially if it's unprovoked. So haters are just part of the game, you know, and the only way to shut them up is just become more successful and keep going. Yeah. Yeah. Just show them that it doesn't mean a flying fuck. You know, so you just keep going, keep doing your thing, right? Haters will be there. you're not in the business of trying to convince them to like you, right? In the end, there's probably 99% of the people out there that like you and a couple different haters, right? Let them be miserable, dude. Let them be miserable. Right? Eventually, they'll take care of themselves because karma is a bitch. And these guys, the haters, will always find themselves into a position where their lives just falls apart. I mean, we've seen it happen over and over again. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to do anything. Karma will take care of the haters. And then after karma took care of them, new haters will pop up. So then it's up to you to deal with it. And ideally, you don't give them a time of day. And sometimes they get in your skin, you clap back a little bit. And, that just happens. Just don't do it too often. But yeah, haters are going to be there, man. It's fine. It's fine. It just means that we'll never get on this big platform, right? Because if people are hating in the fitness community, when in reality they had an opportunity to come on a podcast with me and grow their audience and get some business out of it, opportunity's lost, bitch. You did it to yourself. All right, people are in line to come on my podcast now. So I can just pick and choose. All the guys who I think are good people, like Roman Fritz, for example, fucking saint. All right, he's welcome anytime, any day of the week. Of course, we won't have Roman Fritz off every day because otherwise, it would turn into the Romanerus, the YouTube channel. But yeah, that's good people. So I think from all of the podcasts that I've done, the large majority of the people were good people and are still good people. Right? Some of them turn out to be dickheads. But yeah, unfortunately, sometimes people online can pretend to be people who they are not completely. Yeah, that's the unfortunate reality of online personas. All right, what's the next one? Very good way. I can't stand the covert passive aggressive haters. Yeah. Yeah. What can you do, man? Again, they're miserable. So just let them be. Let them be miserable. You'll make them more miserable by increasing your success and your exposure. Fine, dude. Fine, dude. I'll just smoke another cigar. All right, where are we? I think it's time to wrap it up. I'm getting a little bit sleepy now. It's 2:30 in the morning. I mean, who else does this? What's up, Steve? Wondering how do dopamine agonists pair with beta blockers? I don't think that's a good idea at all because dopamine agonists also increase your heart rate. Right? So I don't think that's a good drug interaction, but I haven't researched it to be fair. So I would just assume that it's not a good idea to activate dopamine receptors and block the beta receptors with beta blockers and dopamine receptor agonists. But of course, if you're increasing your dopamine levels or you have some sort of dopaminergic compound with the beta blocker, that goes well, right? That doesn't really matter. So if your L-tyrosine, L-dopa, and dopamine levels are elevated, and you use some sort of dopaminergic compound, and you use a beta blocker, I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. But if you start adding in the cabergoline or the pramipexole, right? Yeah, no. All right, guys, let's wrap it up here. This was fucking epic. Keep in mind, next week, the Boozers Q&A, Boozers Vigorous Q&A, right? So next week, probably not so much drug questions. Just ask me bullshit, right? We'll remove all of the band members. I might reintroduce them later on. I'll put them in the text pad so I can add them back. We'll remove all the nasty keywords so anything goes, right? But if you're banned, you're still banned. And let's do some fucking call-ins again. All right, just to say hi, not question, not Steve. What do you think about MK677, dude? I'm kicking you out of the chat so fast, you'll probably get whiplash. And if you want to call in, oh holy shit! If you want to call in, better make sure you have a cigar and a glass of whiskey in hand because I don't drink solo. Right, Ron Burgundy, you are the man for the opportunity and cigar fund. That is definitely a solid cigar, Ron Burgundy. You are the fucking man. And look at the color that StreamYard gave you. A $50 super chat gets a beautiful color. All right, guys, let's leave it here. I'll see you guys next weekend at the Vigorous Q&A, which is the Boozers Q&A. And then next year, let's make it fun and let's make it magical, because we're far from done with this live stream every single weekend. All right, guys, peace out. Merry fucking Christmas. Next week, make sure you spend it with friends and family, right? Enjoy yourself. I will certainly do that. And then next weekend, let's make it fucking epic, okay? Peace out.